All right, looks like we are in New York Giants. And as the thumbnail talked about, we might just be purposefully getting a little bit worse here today. But we're going to let things kind of slowly roll on in and make sure everyone is able to join before we fully dive on in. Those that are already here, let me know in the comments, how is the music volume? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Also let me know, it's happened in streams in the past where for some reason my mic midway through will just turn itself off. So make sure if there's any sort of volume issues, you guys let me know, and make sure you're putting in your input as well as we go through a full off season, trades, free agent signings, the draft, and potentially, depending on the time, we might also get into a practice and see some of the new players. Things like that. Again, all your input very much is necessary here. That's why we do it live, so that way you guys can have your input. Unfortunately, the last off season we had, I believe it was Kent State, that one was not live. But we are here today, live New York Giants. And for those who have not watched the last episode yet, a bit of a spoiler, so apologies for that. But you can see the results of the playoffs here. Our Giants in season 2 have already won back-to-back Super Bowls. And that is partially why we are going to try to make things more difficult for us here today. So to get us going, let's talk a little bit about how this season went. 34-31, a close game. The Houston Texans 2 yards away from winning that Super Bowl. The defense just did enough, and that really seemed to be the synopsis of the defense this year, was just doing enough. We didn't have anyone in the top 3 in any categories for the defense. Cameron Scadaboo, though, what an absolute amazing season, and one that was not on my radar heading into this year. You jump on over to the record book real quick, and you could see as we go to season that Cameron Scadaboo, he broke the record. 30 rushing touchdowns in a season. He broke LT's record. He also broke I want to say it was Joe Morris's record with the Giants. That one was around 28. Might have been actually less than that. I think LT's was 28. But Cameron Scadaboo, an absolutely phenomenal season. The offense carried this team. The defense was okay. If we just take a look here to run through some of the stats of these teams, looking for ourselves here on defense, you could say, we're slightly better than average in terms of total yards that we allowed, passing yards allowed. We're going to be around, again, that average mark. The defense was very average. In fact, you could even mark maybe we were a little bit slightly above average there. Rushing yards allowed. And we do obviously play on some slightly different quarter lengths, but we did give up slightly more rushing yards than average. So definitely was a low point for us in terms of points given up this year. Our defense went by a little fast there. I saw it flash for a moment. Was, again, average. That's where we were this year. We were just an average defense. In terms of sacks, slightly above average. That, I think, favored more towards the first half of the year than the whole season. Fumbles, we were one of the worst teams at forcing fumbles and just turnovers in general. We find ourselves here with only 9 interceptions. That is slightly below average. So definitely some things with this defense that I think could be improved despite, again, winning 2 Super Bowls in a row. So the defense is definitely going to be a focus. And we could even see that the fans as well, they're not very happy. We jump into the coaching section here. They love Coach Bearington. Everyone loves Coach Bearington. They majority like the offensive coordinator and Chris Montalvo. Wow, that's some butchering. Montalvo? Let me know. But as for Thomas Quinn, the defensive coordinator, very few actually liked him. The defense was our worst spot in the last really season and a half. Everyone doesn't really care about the trainer, so the trainer's fine. But Coach Bearington, great. They really like the OC. Thomas Quinn, probably not sticking around. And that's even with Chris constantly being like, I got a brand new game plan. And it's the same game plan. Run it down the middle, and throw over the middle every single time. Guess when you got the offense we have, you don't really have to be a genius. But talking about the team, we will go through their stats really quick. As for Jackson Dart, just a little over 3,300 passing yards. Apparently, I'm not mentally prepared here. 18 passing touchdowns to just the 10 interceptions. Not the best ratio, less than 2-1, but the completion percentage really good. And those turnovers mostly came in bunches, with a good amount in between of not throwing those turnovers. He also very much got involved in the running game as well. 5 more touchdowns, 6 more fumbles, 664 yards. But the running game belonged to Cameron Scadaboo, and that was with Tyrone Tracy getting injured this year and missing, frankly, a majority of the season. Last year, he was one of our key guys. We could even take a look at his stats over these last couple seasons. He has proved to be a true #1 running back in this series. Over 5 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns last year, and he was the full-time starter. This year, he played maybe half the season, and the stats, at least attempts, are going to be around that halfway point. But the yards, far better, average, even better, and he had 8 touchdowns. If he played the whole year, he could have had a phenomenal season. Probably not that of Cameron Scadaboo, but I would believe if we're going to input any sort of realism, Tyrone Tracy, seeing Cameron Scadaboo as the primary running back moving forward, especially after this year, he would request a trade. Running backs, their window is from about 24 to 28. So right now, Tyrone Tracy, he's sitting in the prime of his career, a superstar right now. I think he would look to go to a team that needs a starting running back. I have a team in mind. We're going to have to see how things end up shaking out, but I do have a team in mind where I think he would fit very well. In terms of the receiving game, Malik Neighbors, Malik Johnson, fantastic performances this year, and we really only used the 2 receivers. Theo Johnson, it was a slow season from him out the gate. He did turn things on in the later half. We see a lot more yards being racked up, a lot more catches. The first half, it was a lucky performance if he got the 3 to 4 targets, and even then, sometimes he wasn't doing much with it. He also had a lot of drop issues early this season. But he really is the team's #3 when it comes to receiving. And then after that, you might dip into the Scadaboo, the Tracy on the screens. Wan'Dale Robinson was one of our primary receivers last year. This year, he dropped off in dramatic fashion. He wasn't injured. He was healthy the whole year. The offense just didn't really use that occasionally 3 receiver sets, but even then, they didn't pass his way quite obviously. 60 receptions last year, 836 yards, 3 touchdowns. He wasn't scoring that often, but this year, 2 touchdowns, not bad. The average was almost the same per catch as last year, but only 208 yards, 16 receptions. I don't know the target amounts. He might have had a few drops, but even then, he really did not get involved much at all this year. I think he's another player that very much would be requesting a trade. Jump back onto his board here. This was his 5th season in the league. He will be turning 26 years old. He's a star dev, 82 true overall, not accounting for the morale boost. A really solid receiver. 100% he would be asking for a trade. And frankly, trades of late, even for really good receivers, haven't necessarily panned out to give the trading team much in return. So we're going to look to mimic a lot of things we are seeing in real life today. As for who will step up to be that 3rd receiver into the future, well, Hoffman and Ben Vallejo. Ben Vallejo coming off a tremendous special teams performance in that Super Bowl, arguably the reason we won that game. But both of these 2 receivers could be seeing some playing time. As for Jalen Hyatt, he will be hitting free agency. Gray, the running back, also will be hitting free agency. As for the possible second running back to step in, we saw him a little bit this year, Donovan Edwards. He's under contract 1 more year. Very cheap deal. We will be looking in the draft to see if there is anyone that is intriguing there. As for the blocking, really solid year across the board. Thomas gave up about a sack a game, Runyon about a sack a game, but as he turns 30 this offseason, he too will be hitting the free agent market, and we're just going to see what all is available. Parham, solid year, nothing crazy there. But Tippmann, phenomenal year, not a sack given up on 996 snaps. And the rookie, while he dealt with injuries when he was out there, clean. From Tyler Tafoya, 922 snaps, not a sack given up. Did wish that this kept track of quarterback hurries, hits, pressure, all of that stuff would be great. Some more run percent winnings would also be great, but offensive linemen in general, not even in the game, but just in real life, they rarely get the recognition they deserve. And defensively, perhaps some recognition not necessarily seen despite some success and some non-success this year. Javon Holland, 102 tackles. But in coverage, he really didn't seem to make that much of a difference out there, which is really unfortunate. Bobby Okereke, he has made it clear that he does not want to return to the New York Giants. So he will not be. He will be hitting free agency, 31 years old, and wherever he signs will probably be where he ends up retiring. This was a down year for him. His true block shedding has taken a massive hit. Even with the coaching boost and the morale helping, it's only at an 80. The coverages aren't anything spectacular either. What is really good with him is the tackling. He's a really sure tackler. He's smart. He's a Stanford guy. Play recognition and awareness are high, but he will be moving on. So that leaves us then with two very possible players who will be stepping up to fill in his role. We've seen Drew Sanders, traded for him last year from the Denver Broncos, and he was tied with him in tackles. We just haven't seen him necessarily make the plays in coverage like we would hope. He does have really good zone or really good man coverage. He should be the guy that is manned up on tight ends, maybe even running backs out of the backfield. He's got decent speed, not tremendous speed, but the block shedding is really solid. Even with the boost, even without the boost, that is where Bobby Okereke is with all the boosts. So he's at a really good spot. Play rec is there. Awareness could see a little bit of some improvement, but I still think he'll be a solid Mike linebacker for us. His competition is another linebacker we traded for, that time this year, out of Cincy in Barrett Carter. We saw him play primarily in the base packages, 4-3, the bear, the goal line sets, and he was a great run stopper. But he's going to be more of the opposite in terms of the coverage ability to Sanders, who's more that man. Man is not Carter's thing. The zone, however, is really good at a 77. Does need to work on the block shedding a little bit. He is a little bit faster, so might be a better option in covering those linebackers or the flats, which he did see some success in doing last year, just very limited. Injury, slight concern at the 87, and we don't have a third option that I believe really could start on this team. So linebacker is a need. It's not a dramatic need, but not many positions are. We're going to be quite open this offseason in deciding what it is we want to do. And potentially one of the things we will want to do is trading away Dexter Lawrence. I love Dexter Lawrence. He is a big impact in real life. But in this series, we have not seen that impact despite leading us in TFLs this year. It is a down year for him. It's the least amount of sacks he's had in a season for us throughout our time in this series. And tackle for loss has gone down. This year in general, I mean, just take a look at the last 4 games we played. He didn't record a single stat. He made some waves a little bit there in week 17 with some tackles, a sack in there, but there was a lot of games where he at most got a tackle or 2, but there wasn't anything in the backfield. And I don't believe that when you're looking at a guy like Dexter Lawrence, who's making the amount of money that Dexter Lawrence is, as we have to skip around a whole bunch of windows here to get to it, $26.5 million to have at least half of our games this year have maybe a tackle. I don't know if that's something that's very sustainable for us, especially when we have some of the younger talent we do. So speaking of younger talent, we're going to leave the stats sheet here, and we will jump over to the GM's page and our roster to take a look at said younger talent. Because there are 2 guys, obviously we've seen a lot of Darius Alexander, and he was an older rookie. He will be 27 next year in his 3rd year, but he is a star dev. I could very well see him getting a boost there with his performance, but he is a very good run stopper with some upside of some pass rush. And that really is what we have seen from him this season. With 14 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. Maybe he would have a little bit more if Dexter Lawrence wasn't there, or perhaps taking Dexter Lawrence away means more people double team him and Alexander disappears. That is the gamble in potentially moving on from Dexter Lawrence. But there is a rookie who only saw 135 snaps this year, who is hidden dev and a 79 overall. Hunter Jones needs to see the field. He's got strength and a great base with finesse and run-stopping ability. Overall, he's a pretty just well-balanced guy. Injury at an 89, so he should be able to withstand a season. He just did not see much playing time this year. Only 1 TFL, 2 tackles. He got the start, I believe, or started half the week actually, in week 18. And he recorded the 2 tackles and the TFL. He did see a lot of playing time in the Lions game. Now, we decimated the Lions 35-16. He didn't record a stat, but I think he helped out a lot of the other players around him. So Hunter Jones needs to see the field. And to make this series more difficult, not relying on a guy like Dexter Lawrence could very well do that for us, making things a lot more intriguing. As for intriguing, talked about not having that third option at linebacker. Karake is going to be missing. Is Masua? You're going to have to let me know the pronunciation on that one. But does he have the ability to step up and be that third option right now? Zone coverage is at a solid spot. There's no man coverage there. The block shedding is really poor. Athleticism is average for linebackers. Could he fill in a spot? Yes. I still think we need some competition, because when Bobby leaves, we're going to have 2 guys listed here at Mike. Kendricks and Adams are also both going to be gone. And then at Sam, we have Dylan McCoy, a guy we drafted last season. He's not obviously going to be taking a step. I wish that was something that Madden did have, like in college football, with an off-season program, and maybe based off of their development rate and their stats of the season, you would see some things increase or potentially even decrease. McCoy didn't see the field at all. There was no improvement for him. The zone, the man, awful, barely can shed a block, so I don't imagine he's going to be sticking around very long at all. Probably should have been a practice squad guy, but we just needed the depth. Cornerback-wise is very similar to Dexter Lawrence. They didn't necessarily play awful. Their ratings are actually really good, but we just didn't see an impact from them. We were barely getting interceptions. Paulson Adebo had a couple, and he's 91 across the board with his bonuses coming in. Drew Phillips, good covered man. A little bit less in the press. Not going to catch a ball or pick the ball off. Deontay Banks, he actually played very well in the slot. He'd be one guy I would definitely consider to keep in that spot. But there are also some other guys who could see some playing time. Corey Black, who still has the very much wrong face. Good job, Madden. 79 man coverage with a 78 zone. He could play in the slot. Similar tackle rating just across the board here for us. That would save us some money, as right now Banks is making a lot of more money than him. 21.7 is just the penalty if we were to cut him. Meanwhile, 60K. So could save money there. Not necessarily something we have to do, but I would consider drafting a young corner and seeing what he could do for us. Safety is also another very interesting spot with this roster that, again, like the corners, they're not bad. But in terms of scheme fit, they're really not great for us. If we take a look here at Tyler Newman, he's our free safety, and while he has really good zone coverage, the athleticism does not match an over-the-top safety. 87 for his speed, 85 for his acceleration. That is not a rangy over-the-top guy, and that's why we've given up so many big games to guys in the past. Thinking to that Texans game, Nico Collins absolutely destroyed us. And Newman, who could play with that speed, more of a strong safety, it's really not looking good for that man coverage. So he's not going to be covering tight ends or anyone out of the backfield very well. So he just doesn't seem to fit. Javon Holland could fit that over-the-top coverage ability for sure. He's got the 91 speed, 93 excel. He's got solid zone coverage, but he's the man guy in terms of the safeties. So he has to play that strong safety role again in our scheme. just so he can get that man up on the tight ends, get that man up on the running backs out of the backfield, and make a play on it. So there is potential that we do look for another safety. We don't know a whole lot about the draft class safety group. So that is just the simple breakdown. And by simple, we've been going here for 20 minutes, a 20-minute breakdown of where this roster is and how good we are. 13-4, winning the Super Bowl back-to-back, but still some glaring issues and things that I do want to make it harder for us. We're already playing on all Madden. We have the Mat 10 sliders installed. So the only way that we can see that difficulty while playing each and every game is to give ourselves a little bit less of an edge on the players. So that is very much something that will be happening today, purposefully getting a little bit worse. But hopefully the upside of seeing some really good players into this series that are fully from this series. Coach, said that weird. Coach Bearington did get a contract extension, somehow winning back-to-back Super Bowls. He's only making, I'm hoping that's $5 million per season. Otherwise, he's getting absolutely robbed. But that's the update on Coach Bearington. But before we move on and really get off-season stuff going, there are some players we need to catch up on. So I'm going to pull up my list here. And we are going to go through. We saw a number of them in the Super Bowl with the Texans. Former players of Coach Bearington here in the league. Just as last time after the draft, after this offseason, I will go through and change some players to be even more players from that Stanford series, continue their legacy. But we had Ben Vallejo on our side. Try to pull that away from the mic so it doesn't hurt anyone's ears. Ben Vallejo on our side didn't see much of the field this year, but we could definitely take a quick look at his receiving numbers. He was primarily a return man this year. He had 4 catches, 18 yards. But in terms of returning, not kicking, returning, 21 returns, 470 yards, and then punt returning 23. Actually, that went to Hoffman, so not even Ben Vallejo. Not including the Super Bowl, though, as Ben Vallejo did have a kick 6 that really was the difference maker in that game. Sorry, just checking some of the background things there. But that is Ben Vallejo, the only player on our team. The Texans had a number of our players, so we'll jump over there, get an update on them. Thank you. We'll start with the defense here. We are looking for the big man in Jason Blair. The rookie finishes with 50 tackles, 9 TFLs, 6.5 sacks. That is not too bad. Sack numbers aren't that far off of Dexter Lawrence, though the TFL's about half. But again, I feel like you'd save a whole lot of money with a rookie there. And they're getting pretty similar attributes or stats there. As for receiving, Daniel Kramer, the tight end, finished with just 10 catches, 130 yards, no touchdowns. Obviously behind Dalton Schultz. Not going to see as many targets go his way. Making sure no one else here on the Texans. No. So then next up, we've got the Lions. And I don't know if we had included this in our game against the Lions. You can jump over to the defense here. We are looking for safety Ty Hawley. Ty Hawley finished his season with 14 tackles. He had 1 interception as well. No forced fumbles or any of that. Looks like he probably played primarily some special teams rotating in, but Ty Hawley making some plays out here at free safety with the Lions. And then talked a little bit about the Panthers. We did see him get in almost exactly what we were looking for. Alex Augustine, big player for us in that Stanford dynasty. He finished with 29 tackles, 8 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. Again, very similar to, not that far off of what we had with Dexter Lawrence. Anyone else on the Panthers here? No. So then to the Patriots. And at corner, looking for Kevin Salmon. Only 4 tackles, no interceptions, no passes deflected, Didn't look like he saw much playing time, only 22 downs played. Do we look to potentially have a reunion with Kevin Salmon if we want a new cornerback? Something that's definitely on the table here. We did see for the Vikings the one rookie for us who did make it as a Pro Bowler in Damian Dragan. Imagine he leads them in tackles. No, second, dive and pace. Damian Dragan, 138 tackles, 6 for a loss, 3 sacks, 1 interception. He deflected 10 passes, forced a fumble, and he played over 1,000 downs this year. An absolute monster season coming off a bad knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. He actually didn't even play in the national championship game. Drafted in the 7th round, and what a pickup for the Minnesota Vikings. Next up on the list, we have with the Saints. Probably went the wrong way there. Saints, give me offensive line here. Right? Offensive line is what we're looking for. Yes, Miles Vaughn. Not the best season for him. The tackle who was locked down for us won a lot of awards, if I'm not mistaken. 9 sacks given up in 12 games played. So a little bit of a wake-up call there for the rookie. We'll see if he has a bounce-back season next year, as it looked like he did split some time with a name I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I know I'm going to butcher it, and that's just going to be rude. But it looks like maybe he got injured for a little bit of the season. Commanders up next. A Heisman winner. Come on. There we go. Thank you. Sometimes these screens in Madden just way too slow. Nathan Henderson. Heisman winner. He finished with 56 tackles, 7 for a loss, with 6.5 sacks. Did not force any turnovers. Played about 800 downs. And then we've got 2 more remaining. So I did miss one on the Panthers, so we'll go back over there. But next up with the Eagles, running back Joe Wesovich. Way down here, did not see the field. Now, he was drafted in the 4th round. But with Saquon Barkley, he's going to get the primary of those power back carries. So Joe Wesovich really just sitting around right now. And then back over to the Panthers for the offensive line. Blocking. We've got Cameron Conklin, the center. He gave up just 6 sacks, 12 games played, 778 snaps. And the other center did play a little bit here in Austin Corbett. So either injury or perhaps Corbett struggled earlier in the season, then they went to Conklin. Either way, we played against the Panthers in the NFC Championship, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been the divisional round. I think it was NFC. So we had 2 of our guys in the NFC Championship game, plus Ben Vallejo on our side, and a couple more in the Super Bowl with the Texans. So Coach Barrington's legacy right now very much is in the running with the NFL. A lot of his former players will be joining even in this offseason. To list off a couple guys towards the top, Greg Lovelace. You got Joseph Henry. I think he might have been a Heisman winner, or he might have been second up in the Heisman. Justin Sorensen, the quarterback, will be joining. Manu Cave, the corner. And that's just a couple of the options, but a lot of big-time players in that Stanford series will be joining us after we get through the offseason. So how about we actually get the offseason rolling here? Quite a big intro. And taking a look at the clock here, just about 30 minutes running through. Just checking over here on the channel, see how we're all doing. If you guys are enjoying this offseason, I know where it's a bit of a slow roll out the gate here, but if you are enjoying, make sure you do leave that thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you're enjoying it. It'll recommend it to you and to others. A great way to help out this channel. And make sure you see every single episode, because I know sometimes YouTube, not great at telling everyone when something is posted. But getting to the staff week here. Retirements, big thing. Do we have any retirements? Don't see anyone at the top here. We'll scroll down to our team. No, we had a couple older guys, but we did definitely get younger. Yeah, no one retires for us, at least of now. We'll get through the overall list rather quickly here. Seeing if we have anyone big at the top. Keenan Allen, he does finally retire. TJ Watt also retires. Marcus Lawrence, Cooper Kupp retires. Hunter Henry retires. That's a little bit younger than expected. Normally tight ends do go a little bit longer. Tyler Lockett retires. He finished with the 49ers. I don't know how I feel about that. Hargrave, Batonio, Juszczyk retires. DJ Ham retires, one of the last remaining true fullbacks. Lane Johnson. Tyler Conklin. That's maybe more of a Minnesota Vikings guy for that to pop up, but Brandon Scherf retires. Amari Cooper retires. Matt Prater. Tyler Boyd retires. He wasn't even on a roster. Greg Zuerlein. Eric Wilson retires. Zach Ertz retires. There goes a Stanford man. Bradbury. I feel like he already retired. Davian Clowney retires. Taysom Hill retires. He also wasn't on a roster. Quite a long list here. Pharaoh Brown. Not seeing any super young guys retire here either. We had a few of those last year. Cameron Sutton. Okoronkwo. There we go. So no coaches retired. But yeah, didn't see anyone on the younger side there. So that's at least a little something different from this year compared to last year. 8 with Miles Sanders. 5. So there was a younger guy here, Pierre Strong Jr. Obviously being running backs. And again, that's what I talked about when it comes to trading away our running back in Tyrone Tracy. Small window. 7 years here for Rico Dowdle. 6 more for Kenneth Gainwell. Don't know how I missed that one. 4 years, Chris Brooks. Done. So yeah, there were a few. And then you got someone like Matt Prater. 20 years. We have our kicker who's very close to that. And he did not retire. Graham Gano sticking around for his 18th year. Blake Watson retires after 3 years. Didn't even finish out a rookie contract. So yeah, there's definitely some running backs leaving. Another running back here in Dylan Laub. Probably mispronouncing that one. Another 3 here in George Holani. He always had some fun in the preseason, at least the last couple seasons, I felt like, with the Seahawks. But yeah, a lot of running backs, the younger guys retiring. So hopefully we don't see Joe Wesovich on that list anytime soon. We did not check out yearly awards. That is one mistake. Can we go back and check that now? No. So that's my bad. I don't think we're in the running outside of probably Cameron Skattebo. In fact, if we go check out our roster, we could go see real quick if he did end up getting anything. Why do we have to have 2 different menus for roster stuff? Just have it all in one. Cameron Skattebo here. Any awards? A lot of awards here. Pro Bowl appearances. So he would have been in a Pro Bowl probably this year, but obviously we went to the Super Bowl. A couple NFC Offensive Players of the Week. League leader in rushing yards. That was this year. Offensive Player of the Year and Best Running Back this year. So big ups for Cameron Skattebo. And that does or should have him as an X Factor now. I don't think he was before, so Wrecking Ball is what they give him. Wrecking Ball runners don't avoid contact. Yeah, he's not going to avoid contact. He's got Steamroller, Tank, and Bulldozer, all very much fit Cameron Skattebo. So big ups there for us. I don't think anyone else would have gotten anything. Dart, I don't think, played well enough this year. Perhaps, potentially, Avon Thibodeau. He, for about half the season, was leading the league in sacks. But no, he doesn't end up winning anything there. Nor a Pro Bowl appearance would he have had if we didn't make it to the Super Bowl. So, for a team that won the Super Bowl, not a whole lot of awards there. Quickly jump into these upgrade players. Most likely it is going to be the younger guys. We do have some of the older guys, so we will toss on some quick ones here, going more towards the archetype, especially when they are above that 90 overall. Malik Neighbors, a good boost there. He's still a superstar. Abdul Carter, he didn't have as good of a year this year as I was hoping. It was still a solid year, being a little greedy, hoping he would have done more. But still a solid enough year. Gets the +6 to block shed now. That is big. A superstar, yet still. The finesse moves, the power moves, though, they're so high with the morale boost. Even without it, it's still going to be so high. I expect a lot more from Abdul Carter with that block shedding now up to a true 95. That is a massive boost there. Malik Johnson, phenomenal year. Will break from what I said about the archetype, though, because he is our physical guy. Through and through. He's more of the guy I want, short and medium routes. We do get the boost there to the short, the spec catching traffic, and even trucking for him gets a little bit better. Not that we saw that on display. Bobby Okereke will get one more upgrade with us before he moves on as well. So, help out with what I assume will be regressing. Theo Johnson getting a little bit of a boost here. Possession through and through with tight ends. It's always the same with me. Possession guys all the time, as they typically get some blocking increase. Pass block not really going to help us out, but the run block power is there. +4 to release, +3 for spec catch. Medium route running and some other things get some upgrades. Not too bad for a man going into his 4th year. And that seems to be all of the big name guys, so we will just auto upgrade the rest who are practice squad. I'm sure the CPU signed most of them anyway. Coaching carousel. Did any of our guys get fired? No. But I believe we would be firing with a 34% job security Thomas Quinn. It was not a good year. He will be gone. Now, view available staff. What are our options here? We're obviously a 4-3 type, but it doesn't really seem like that matters much. You just have some gurus or archetypes. Most of them are defensive gurus. So you could go, Thomas was the highest leveled guy. Yeah, a lot of lower level guys. So I don't really know if it matters much. Obviously, abilities would change. That's something I've even stopped using. You could see it up with the staff points or coach points or whatever they call it in this one. I have 805. I'm not using them. I think that's something that has made things very easy. The only things I do use are things that have upgraded organically through play. So if you're looking to add a little bit more difficulty to your game, that is definitely something you could do. Just don't spend the staff points, because I'm not doing that. Outside, I will say I did upgrade our athletic trainer, so that way there were less practice injuries, higher recovery during games or something like that. But I wish coordinators mattered more here in this instance then. So we're just gonna, I guess, go hire the highest level outside of Quinn Thomas. So Griffin Murphy, he has 19 abilities, 4 play call sheets. Sure. He's going to be our new DC. And maybe the fans will like him a little bit more. He's at least going to start at 50%. But for Chris, he's sticking around despite his lack of play calling. No, it does not give us any sort of breakdown there. So it is, yeah, is what it is. Like Madden, things very half-heartedly done. I think they could definitely do a lot more, or even create a head coach mode where maybe things do matter a little bit more there in terms of building that staff. But that seems to be about it, because the season recap, we already know what happened. We ended up winning the Super Bowl. I guess we could see the yearly awards over on the right here. NFL MVP is Michael Penix Jr. Coach of the Year, though, is Barry Bearington. Offensive Player of the Year, Cameron Scadaboo, with the Defensive Player of the Year being Max Crosby. Derek Skaggs is your Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Damian Dragan, your Defensive Rookie of the Year. There we go. That's another one for Coach Barrington. Gotta love to see, and I do enjoy getting that in this time. Really needed college football to come back. We will do the same thing with Kent State as well in the next Madden. I'm still toying with what I plan to do with the next Madden. I think it might be a little bit more of a series similar to what we did with the state or states only, where we're playing more of the coach slash GM, because I want Madden to be a bit more difficult than it is, which is something I should say if we could even go back and look at it here. Not league, give me the team schedule. Obviously, we won the Super Bowl this year. Running through this real quick will be the last thing we do in terms of season recap. But going through it, you'll see a lot of these games were one-score games. In fact, we had 9 one-score games, not including the playoffs, where we had 2 of 3 be one score. So one drive in these games goes the opposite way, and we're looking at a much different season. So it's not necessarily that Madden itself isn't difficult. It's just that we are playing very well. Our division hasn't been as competitive as I was hoping it would be with Philadelphia. I was looking at that. With Philadelphia, Commanders, and the Cowboys, I was hoping they would be a little bit more aggressive, and we haven't seen most of them have winning seasons. Philadelphia, they gave us a good ride the last couple seasons, but they've been about it. Commanders and Cowboys haven't done much in this series, so hopefully year 3 will be different. Only time will tell. But it looks like that is all we have to look at here, because we can't see anyone else's coaching staff to see who was fired or not. That's definitely a screen that I feel like they should have. That's it here for us. So we will move along then to the next week, getting ever closer to real off-season moves. And potentially, nope, no more retirees. Did anyone pick up? Nope. Still got Chris. So yeah, we're still sitting pretty here in terms of players to negotiate with. Picking up the option here for Malik Neighbors. My plan here is to not, because I don't want to give him $36 million for one season. I would much rather sign him to a long-term deal at a little bit less per season. At least that is my hope. So that is the gamble we're going to do here. We're going to save ourselves a little bit of space, because I still plan on signing Neighbors for a long time. Now, Joe Tippmann. This is really unfortunate. We traded for him last season, and one of the rules here is that we cannot negotiate with or try to sign a free agent who does not have at least some interest in returning. And for Joe Tippmann, he does not have some interest. That's not really a helpful screen for us. We'll pop back, go to the negotiation screen, looking for the player motivations. Close to home, Indiana, highest value or highest offer, does not have a mentor at the position. My guy, you're 26 years old. I don't think you need a mentor. You're one of the best centers in the league. But the interest is not there, and we're not going to pick up someone in free agency to maybe boost this to semi, because house rules are house rules. We talked about purposefully getting worse, making this more difficult. Well, how about trying to replace one of the best centers in the league? We will have to withdraw from that competition. Bobby Okereke, already we've known he does not want to come back. He does not enjoy New York, so he will be moving on. We could potentially then look to maybe keep someone like Runyon. Franchise tag, though, would be 27 mil. Not worth it there. These are all the other guys that will be moving on. A lot of depth players here for us, so we do have some work to do. This offseason, we got some positions to fill now with 2 holes on the offensive line. So definitely something to keep in mind as we do move forward. Again, there is nothing for us to do here. So we will move on to the next stage. And before we jump into free agency, we might trim down the roster a little bit and also put players up on the trade market. So let's start with that. Hopping over to the roster here. First player going on the market is going to be Glenn Teal. He was a quarterback we were forced to draft. Did not want to draft him, but the game glitched last offseason as I turned off the timer. Madden, I guess, decided never mind with that. It kept us on the screen, but it wouldn't let us select who we wanted, so we had to sim the pick. It gave us Glenn Teal. And he's a fine quarterback. He just does not fit what we're looking for. So he will be added to the block. We have a backup in Luke Ray. Might look for a mentor for Jackson Dart, but we'll see. We talked about Tyrone Tracy. He too will be added to the block. trying to squeeze in a couple more prime years for him. So that's more of a, we're doing it for him, not a we're doing it for us. We're trying to be a nice guy here because Coach Bearington is a nice guy. Philip Stanford. You love Stanford, but Butler, that's the wrong school, my guy. He's slow. He doesn't truck. Got a little bit of some juke ability there, but break tackle is horrific. That's a cut for sure. And that was definitely a Madden signee on the practice squad. Receivers. There's a lot of names that I do not know that we will be cutting. But Wan'Dale Robinson, another player who would be demanding a trade right now, so he'll be added to the block himself. 26 years old and 71 overall. No, thank you. Now, some of these guys we might have drafted. Alan Wells, not super fast. 88 speed, 6'1", 213. Solid hands with some solid short, medium route running. Good spec catch. Injury, bit of a concern. We'll let him battle things out here for the practice squad. As for Haysom Knox, 66 overall at 24. We're going to cut that one, save a little bit of some space. Trevor Redding, I believe we actually did end up drafting. So I'll leave the receivers there for now. Tight end, nothing to cut. Jacob Farrell, you can get off my team. You are sub 60 overall. I'm pretty sure that was not a person we drafted. At least I surely hope not. Now, a possibility for us, instead of looking to bring in a new center, is we have Enrique Jarman. Drafted him last season. He's got some solid finesse ability. It doesn't exactly match what we look for in an offensive lineman. We're more that power focus. Someone who could potentially end up moving to that center spot. Another option is we could shift a guard down to center because we also have Marcus Mbo, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. And he has some solid ratings. In fact, he could even potentially take over at right tackle for us. And we could move over Thomas back over to the left-hand side, and that could fill that spot. So we do have some openings for us. And in fact, we'll go ahead and shift Thomas over to that left side. I believe that's where he started in this series anyway, and I ended up moving some guys around to give us a stronger offensive line. Paid off. We got a Lombardi out of it. But that gives us at least possible starters at 4 of the 5 positions. We'll still look at what's available at tackle. We still might draft a tackle. Also might end up drafting a center again. We'll see what's available out there. Defensive line-wise, I would love to, and now we actually can, get out of this Chauncey Golston deal. This was a real-life NFL Giants signing that was horrendous. They gave him so much money. And he's okay. I mean, a solid backup, but not for how much we've been paying him. So we are going to finally get out of this one. We're going to save $5.5 million, taking that 1.5 penalty. Thank you, Golston, for your time, but you're done. Josh Johnson is someone I do want to get in the rotation this year, perhaps a little bit heavier of a rotation this year with that 80 finesse moves. Could just check in for a play or two, give our guys a bit of a breather. There is some raw talent there. I'd like to see if we could see him take advantage of it. Dexter Lawrence will be added to the trade block as he just has not had the impact a 99 X Factor should. What we end up getting in a return for him, I'm not sure. But I do want to see both Alexander and Jones on the field next year. We do need some help here at the linebacker spot. Dylan McCoy talked about earlier about not keeping him around, and frankly, I don't think we're going to. Putting him in on that practice squad didn't help us out in making this. Actually, no, because we didn't put him on the practice squad. Kept him on roster, but that's just one we're going to have to eat. It's a small amount of money in terms of NFL money, so we will eat that. I think we're also going to move off here from Darius. 4th year, the morale has dropped down, and you see the true ratings here. It's just not that good. Linebacker is an area of need, but I think we could do better. So we are going to make that cut as well. He might get picked up by someone else. We only have 2 linebackers currently on roster. We have 4 corners. That's going to be more of a draft situation. Safety-wise, Mike Pissarro. Coverage is horrific. I don't even know how he played in college. That will be a cut for sure. Out of Memphis. I feel like Memphis does better than that. Kicking-wise, I didn't see Gano retire, but he's no longer here. Solid kick power with Spencer Schrader, and accuracy's not too bad either. 28 years old. Year 4 out of Notre Dame. I think he was a guy we signed off of someone else's practice squad, then put on our practice squad when Gano was missing all those kicks. So that's something I definitely forgot about. So we have a kicker. We don't have to go get a new one. And doesn't give us the option here to see any more retirements. So yeah, I'm not sure when Gano retired, but he's definitely not on the team. He might have had a contract expire, actually. That very well could be it. And I was going to move off from him anyway this year, so it ends up working out. But we could head to free agency, where Kyle Hamilton is available, and we have $123 million to work with. Now, would that even help us? First off, because we talked about having safeties that don't necessarily match what we are looking for. Now, Kyle Hamilton here listed as a strong safety. He's got good man. He's got the pursuit, the speed, I think is a good fit in terms of that strong safety role. Excel is at 91, so we could move Holland over to that free. What has he been doing in terms of turnovers? Had 2 interceptions this year, 1 interception last year. That's more than at least Newbin was getting. That would be a very interesting signing. 13 teams are interested. I'm surprised it's not 32 teams. Looking at a 4-year deal here, would put him at age 30. We got some extra money to spend here. What would this offer? This is $19.5 million a season for 4 years. Does that put us in the top? It puts us up there, but it doesn't put us at the top. So we're just going to withdraw that and head back on in here. What if we do something more like this? 20 mil per season, only half a mil more, but less of a signing bonus, more of a salary. I feel like that green is just a little bit higher. Yeah, that has us all the way full. Wasn't expecting us to go after a safety, but when a guy like that shows up, take a look. Matthew Stafford still going here, age 39. Anthony Richardson is available. Fields is always going to be available. I was just looking to see what they have here in terms of mentors. I don't want to bring back Wilson. I'll be honest there. Jacoby Brissett, not exactly fitting the scheme. Gardner Minshew could be, but teams are interested, or at least one team is interested. Deshaun Watson staying far away from that. Daniel Jones could be a solid backup here for us. Scrambler archetype here, 30 years old, normal dev. Still has really solid arm, good speed as well. If he had to fill in, he could definitely fill in. It's not like a flashy signing by any means, but I think would be a good one here. Feel like a 2-year deal. What if we give you a higher bonus here? Or make that salary lower. See if you like that idea. We've got money to work with, so we're going to work with it a little bit. And a 3, I'll take it. 3 bars up. Not going to look for a running back. Not going to look at receiver. What do we have in terms of center? 12 teams interested in Joe Tittman. He won us 2 Super Bowl trophies, and he looks to move on. Now, not much in terms of young, promising talent around it. There is some interest from, in fact, I didn't even take a real look here. That's not even words. I didn't really take a good look. Okay, yeah, Jones does have interest, and I believe so did the safety as well. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we're still fitting with the plan here. We have to go after people who already have some interest. Dog's over in the corner. Itchy little one she is. So Jenkins could be an option. We'll see if there's any guards perhaps that want to slide over. None that are very highly rated over at left. So we would definitely be taking a hit for sure. And I don't think Felele or Torrance would really fit at center. So Jenkins, no one is interested. Would give us a starter, not make it a necessity for us to draft a center, which I don't even think I have a center on my board that I like. He's very much far more of a pass blocker than a run blocker, which doesn't necessarily fit our scheme either. So perhaps with all the players that we have that we are going to look to trade, we could even look to trade for a center. The other option is concussion-prone Ryan Kelly. Might give him a guardian cap if we do look to sign him. Another pass blocker again. He's got the run block finesse, but doesn't really fit. So yeah, we're not looking very good at center. Center is going to be something that we might have to end up trading for. Ryan O'Neal's available. I don't know who the offensive line is for the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting. 24-year-old. You don't normally see that. Nick Herbig, Wisconsin. Not the Herbig that's from Stanford. I always get confused with those two. But we don't need to sign anyone there. But always interesting to see these young guys pop up. Chris Braswell has popped up as well, 25 years old. Linebacker-wise, definitely should be taking a look here. Unfortunately, no one good at Sam. It's broken. At least when I started, Madden had no one listed at Sam. So these are pretty much all going to be guys who are either moved positions or were drafted. Or undrafted, I should say. Yeah, not going to sign a sub-70s 24-year-old. Bobby Okereke, nobody interested in Bobby. If we get into the second round and still no one's interested, if we get into the third round and no one has signed Bobby, we might sign Bobby. In terms of younger options, there's Jack Gibbons from Minnesota. A lot of speed with Damon Clark. But overall, so we might just be able to draft. Or Dorian Williams, 26 years old, 79 overall. I'd like to learn a little bit more here. He's a pass coverage archetype, star dev, 6'2", 230. He's got plenty of speed. The block shedding is low. And I'm not sure you really want a cover guy to be your third linebacker. If anything, you want that to be a little bit more of a thumper type. Fill the run, stuff the run, maybe make some plays on some blitzes. I don't think that's Dorian Williams. So we're not going to go after him, though he does look to be a promising young player here in a group that doesn't have that much promise. As for corners, there is Clark Phillips, but doesn't have any interest in us in terms of being a young guy. Harrington Valentine, some interest, but not a spot that would make much of a difference in terms of starting. So that seems to be all of our options, at least in areas of need. Because trying to then bring in Kyle Hamilton, as long as he signs, that fixes our problem at the safety spot. Tyler Nubin then becomes expendable, because I don't think he would fill in very well as a slot corner. So has potential for it. He could be traded as well. So a lot of potential trade-ins this offseason here. So how about we just see if either of these guys want to jump in. First round of evaluations. Both decide. And they do not all come to the New York Giants. Daniel Jones will come in and be our mentor backup quarterback. Kyle Hamilton chooses instead to go to a rival. I get the storyline. I can't hate him for that. Zay Flowers goes to the Eagles, so that's someone we're going to have to deal with now. So that perhaps puts a little bit more pressure on us in trying to fix these safety options. Now, what's available for these safeties? There is Jair Brown, who's available, 27 years old, 80 overall, 86 speed. Doesn't really fit what we're looking for there, so we still have that problem, and we really didn't find any solutions for us either. Unless there's a corner who could strictly play some over-the-top safety for us. And some good speed over there. Harrington Valentine does have some interest. Tackling, though, is horrific. So, yeah, we might just have to try to find something in the draft or, again, another trade here for us. We try to find something there in free agency. It doesn't necessarily hit. I think we move on to next week, and we're going to see what trade deals end up coming in. As take a look over on the right-hand side here, Joe Tippmann signs with the Browns. No interest in returning, or limited interest in returning to a two-time Super Bowl champion and then going to Cleveland? I guess maybe they had a mentor. Slightly closer to home, too, in Indiana. So, I don't know. Take that as you will. But to stage 2 we go. Pretty quick screen there as well for Madden. Now, I don't see any sort of trades popping in here. That's a bit of a surprise. We do have his mock draft. And that's something we could take a look here early then at the college, guys, just to get a gauge on perhaps we should be looking to make a trade now before the draft here. Safety is a bit of a concern for us. We got some pro days now coming in. What about combine? Trust the combine a little bit more. Fastest guy here is going to be Philip Albertson. .444 to 4.4. Doesn't necessarily have the cover skills. Let's take a look here at the attributes then. Zone coverage. Who is the best zone coverage man? Mike McPherson. May or may not have some ability to cover people with man. Take a look at him. 6 foot, 21 years old, out of Clemson. Not a bad 40. Sub 4.5 at least. Play rec is low. Awareness, okay. C to F injury, so no one really standing out here at free. What about at strong? Any sort of good options here? Well, you have at least the man, Jonathan Chavez. He's the top option at safety. 5'10", 220, 21 years old out of Auburn, a hybrid archetype. Again, sub 4.5. 3-cone is okay. Good awareness, good tackling, better injury. He could be a solid option. And maybe someone that we do end up picking up and then maybe gets a year to develop a little bit. We don't have to pull off a Newman. It's not something we have to do. Was hoping we would have that opportunity. Unfortunately, we did not get the signing in Hamilton. But Chavez is definitely someone who is interesting. Linebacker-wise, really wish we could sort by position and favorites. I guess the way you could do that is just to filter by favorites. There was only one for us here at Sam, and he's a potential undrafted, so not looking great there. At Mike linebacker, 4 options, one of which is a top 5 talent. I think we found the guy we have to go after here. Mike Andrews, physical player who delivers bone-crushing hits, talked about needing to find that third option being a run stopper. Has high motor, often looks to rip the ball. Field general, out of Ohio State, 21. Solid enough 40, about a mid 4.6. Good enough bench reps there too. Overall, pretty good combine. He's got play rec, he's got awareness. B for zone man and block shed, plus B tackling and hit power. What are your injury? That is the problem, D to an F. But if he's just a 2-down linebacker, back to work out for us. So Mike Andrews definitely high up on the board here for sure. In terms of the actual earlier round guys, well, we're not even looking at the round 1 to 2. The other round 2 to 3 here is Dalvin. I always just blank on that name. McLeod? I think it's McLeod. 6 foot 233 out of Missouri, 22. He's faster. Overall, again, a really good combine. He has a zone where you're going to sacrifice a little bit of block shed and tackle ability, but injuries not as much of a concern. So you have 2 solid options here at linebacker. But if we get to that 32nd spot and a top 5 guys available, you got to pull the trigger, right? Will linebacker, we got a lot of options over here. We don't have the true talent grade for any of them, but there are some round 2 to 3s that are on the board, a lot of UDFAs as well. Of these guys, there's a very interesting looking one right here in Taj Godwin out of Ohio State. So they must have put together a really good defense this year. Again, good speed. Overall, tremendous combine. Awareness is there. Play recognition is there. Injury is an A. The only concern you have here, it's different in terms of outside linebackers not really being edge rushers this year as the Will or the Sam, but I still have hesitation in not trusting those coverage ratings due to previous Maddens, but the A's do look mighty nice. Taj Godwin, so we have at least 3 top-tier options when it comes to these linebackers, and we do need a linebacker. There's Manu Morales out of Washington, a little bit slower. Still not a bad combine. Coverage ratings are there. Tackling is there. Block shed a little bit unknown. Not a power rusher. Say that. But still not a bad option. The last 2 to 3 is Stephen Fulton out of Florida. One of the shorter of the options, but again, he is fast. The broad jump and the bench press aren't as good as some of the others, but again, the ratings are there, so we've got plenty of options for linebackers. I don't think we are going to be concerned there. The concern is what we do at center. Right now, if we take a look at left guard, this interior offensive lineman, there's potential undrafted in Javier Gates. That's not a starter. There are no centers that I like. There's around 2 to 3 and around 3 to 4. Let's take a quick second look over here. You have the pass pro guys, they just don't have the run blocking, and that's why we didn't like this class in terms of centers. We need someone down the middle that can run block the running game we have. There are 2 higher round guys at right guard, Galvin Amos and Chad Hanna. So that could limit us in what we want to do with the linebackers. Now for Amos here, he's 6'3", 336 out of Colorado. Good strength there. And he has a lot of A's. That pass block finesse is a C. Run block finesse is A to a C. Pass block power is B to a D, but he is a power archetype. Yes, he is. So I would imagine then that pass block power is probably a B. Injury, not the greatest, but still a solid option. As for Chad Hanna, 6'4", 331 out of California. He's a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. Run block is an A. Lead block is an A. That's only if he's healthy, because it's an F, and that's not good. We don't know the injury rating on the other guy either, so it's a little bit of a toss-up. So there are 2 interior guys. Outside of that, it would require a trade for us to fill that center spot. Or we move a guy that's more of an agile fit that we have on roster to center, and we roll with it and see how he does. So we still have some solid options and a lot of options here at DT. We do move on from Dexter Lawrence. Now, I have the 2 starters, so I'm not looking at anything really outside of round 3 or later, but there are a lot of promising guys here. A lot of guys who have some duality to their game. I mean, it's an earlier round guy, but something like Alan Kemp, B's across the board, not too shabby. Or you get into the guys that have like an A finesse moves, like Jason Lippett. A B here for Jacob Cruz. A again. So a lot of finesse guys. But one guy who might be one of my favorites down here is Nathan Murray, 330 pounds out of Florida. So they did finally figure out a way how to keep their guys at a high weight, but not too high of a weight. Not too bad either. Sub 5 second 40. Bench press is around 36 to 40 reps. Good broad. A lot of strength in that base. Could be a really solid third option for sure. As a day 3 selection, Nathan Murray's definitely on the board for me. Talked about potentially also wanting to find some corners as well. A lot of options for us, a lot of them towards the top. But there's a lot of balance in this class. You can find some more singular guys later on. Guy does fall. We could look to catch him. But again, looking for this draft, it's going to pretty much be open. We want to come away with a linebacker. We would like to come away with a center. All the other things are just icing on top, and I'm top of that, we also could be trading for some guys as well, as we have guys to trade. So I think it's about as much information as we really need to have at this point. Waiting for some trades to come in. We're not doing much in free agency. We tried to sign Kyle Hamilton. He decided to go to a rival, the Steelers. So, and rival by the Steelers, I mean for his former team, Baltimore. Still no offers coming in. We talked about at this stage, we could look to see who is open. And I am wondering. No, Bobby Okereke is no longer available. There's a 24-year-old here, but 65 overall. Never mind. Yeah, not much. Anything looking good here? Yeah. Receivers, Burks, Trey Tucker. We don't need them. Okay. Yeah, I think we just get prepared then for the draft. Free agency, rather light. Again, I think most of our work will be done in the draft and in trades. It's really what Coach Bearington has done throughout his entire time here. Again, just 2 years in, second off season. Now we do have some trade offers. Wan'Dale Robinson. So these are going to be all the teams that didn't get the guy that they wanted. Vikings would be up for giving up a receiver, so an upgrade, and just giving up a 7th round selection. Titans not really doing much here in terms of that trade. We don't need another running back. Damon Clark, we chose not to re-sign, or to try to sign, I should say. Don't need the running back. DT could potentially be something that we would be interested in, but not something we have to do. Zach Altman could be someone that maybe would be sending, or could be sent to that center spot. We'll have to check in on the Jets roster there. Jordan James, 23 years old. It's a good-looking running back, but we don't need it. Don't need it. Yeah, so the only offer that seemed intriguing here is the Jets offer, in which we would get, I believe that is a 2 years down the line, 3rd and 7, but a potential starter for us at center, Zach Altman. Need to check on that roster. If only we could have just adjusted that and taken a look inside there. It is what it is. Jets for Altman. Sitting behind Elijah Vera Tucker, so not going to see the playing field, is moving into his 2nd season. At 6'3", 300 pounds, it's a fine size for a center, but he does not have the run blocking. So that's going to be a no from us. That will be a no from us. Didn't like any of those offers, so we'll go ahead and decline those offers, see if we get something new later. As for Tyrone Tracy, get a older corner, not necessarily a need. Older linebackers. A younger corner in Kool-Aid McKinstry. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense here at Saints. Could be interesting, though, but wouldn't be a huge impact for us. Mitch Coates, a running back from the Ravens. Potentially. Would save us having to draft someone, so potentially. Another running back here from the Patriots. Get a little bit more in return, though. Yeah, Ravens deal looks potentially better. Okay, Browns. Offering up Caleb Bass, an X-Factor 22-year-old strong safety, and a future 6th-round pick for Tyrone Tracy. I think that's one we have to go check immediately. That doesn't seem very realistic. Take a look at the roster, though. All right, Caleb Bass. They also have Grant Delpit, so they don't have to have Caleb Bass. If that helps sway you in any sort of way. He is a zone archetype, but very close to a run support out of Louisville. He's got some speed. Man coverage is not there. He is a free safety. And that could move Holland for us to strong safety. Acceleration is a little bit low, so you're really just getting a boost of about 4 speed there in terms of Newbin, who's already at the position for us. Injuries at a good spot. Catching rating is low. Did he do anything last year? Did have 2 interceptions as a rookie. 94 tackles. 6 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble. Solid looking player here. He play a lot? Yeah, mostly was the starter. That is a really, really good option. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Caleb Bass? Is it realistic? Is it not realistic? For Tyrone Tracy, who's proven to be a #1 running back here in this league. The other options, potentially Mitch Coates. For the Ravens, I would need to check in on him, see what his ratings are. And that's the end of that one. So, yeah, we'll check in on Mitch Coates real quick. Running back, Ravens. He is currently sitting behind Derrick Henry, still going strong at 33 years old. They also have Marshawn Lloyd. They got Rasheen Ali and Dwayne Ray. So it's not a necessity for him. Listed as a power back, though elusive back not that far behind. Star Dev. A true 79 overall. The morale is giving him a boost right now. The carrying is really clean. He's got hands. Injuries at a really good spot. The speed excel is not at a bad spot. He could truck. He's got a little bit of some spin and juke. Not a lot. Could be another really good guy. He wouldn't be on the field as much, though, as Bass. I'll tell you why we mull over some of these trades here. Let me see how I can do something over here. I know there's a way to do it. Just gotta figure out how to do it. There it is. That's the button I'm looking for. Start a poll here. Bass. Coates. I know how to spell that. This is not how you spell that, though. Or neither. Leave that up to you guys. Go vote in the chat. Would you think Coates is a better trade? Keep realism in mind as well. Bass, Coates, or neither. To help you mull that over, I'll pop back over to the review screen. For Coates, the Ravens are also offering up a future 4th and 7. I'm pretty sure that's future. That could be this year. Could be this year. 4th and 7. For Tyrone Tracy, again, he averaged 7 yards a carry this year. Or Caleb Bass, a future, for sure, future 6th round selection. And Caleb Bass, who's 22 years old, 82 overall, and an X factor. Would play free safety, which would also make available Tyler Nubin. And we'll jump over, show you Nubin's ratings as well. So Nubin, 26 years old, final year of his contract, so we would have to pay him more money after this year. 81 overall. That true coverage rating is going to be down at a 96 or 86 overall. 87 speed, 85 acceleration. Would definitely be an upgrade for us, I feel like, if we went with Bass or Base, whichever you prefer. We would then have Javon Holland, who could stay here at strong safety, continue with that good man coverage and the zone coverage. The one thing that I don't think would see an upgrade is the catching ability. Newbin's catching is at an 80 right now, 77 true. And this season, he had 7 tackles, no sacks, 2 interceptions. So the same there as Bass or Bays. Though he didn't force any fumbles. We'll say that. Did have a touchdown, though. What are we thinking right now? You guys vote. I'll just check on that update here. ESPN update. Jettis wants to return to how he played last year. That would help us out, for sure. Well, looks like things pretty even here on what to do. We'll go ahead and end that poll there. Looks like if we want to get something done, I think the trade we end up making. Now, one thing to also note into this, Browns, you need Tracy, because I don't want to trade him somewhere where he is not going to start, because he should be starting. But right now, the Browns, they have Quinshawn Judkins. They got Tyler Algier, Dylan Sampson. They don't need another running back. We talked about also potentially getting another running back. Was it the Ravens? Ravens don't need another running back either. So he wouldn't be traded to a spot where he's really going to do much. Patriots had another running back that they were offering. And Tracy would be the starter, would be over Travion Henderson. That could be a really good 1-2 punch there. So I thought it was the Patriots who were offering up another running back, but I don't see one here. Let's go back and check that real quick. Who was the other team offering up that running back? Yeah, Patriots here for Leon Harmon. Did I just blank out? Did I miss him? I guess I missed him. I don't know. I'm pretty sure my cursor was right over the top of him. Leon Harmon, 24 years old, would buy us a couple more years with a younger player, star dev. He's still got some solid speed and acceleration. Much more of an elusive back, so would still fit the role of Tyrone Tracy and would beat that quote-unquote fire to the earth in terms of Cameron Scattaboo. Not as good of catching. Injury, a little bit of a concern, but wouldn't see the field as often. Break tackles lower. But he's a guy that just can't be touched. I don't know if it's really going to help out. Taking into account, I want Tyrone Tracy to go to a team where he is going to start. So it looks like for now we are going to hold on that trade. It'll be something we keep in the back of our head. Dexter Lawrence, though. There's going to be some big offers here. That is for sure. A lot of older players being offered. Nico Collins now being offered up. A corner here. And Nathan Oliver, 24 years old. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Nathan Henderson. Wouldn't that be interesting if we had a need at edge rusher for the start, but we don't. I do like the thought process, though. Offer up a familiar player. Alex Augustine and a future first-round pick. Definitely not doing it. I love Alex Augustine, but it's, different game. Not sure if they're going to play the same way, It's definitely interesting seeing some of these options being given up here. Alex Augustine, that's just interesting. I don't even remember what his ratings are. Future first-round pick, not even this year or next year, but 2 years down the line. I think we're going to hold, and we will make trades after the draft. potentially even into the preseason as well. So there's definitely some options there. Nothing quite pushing us over the edge. So how about we look for our favorites here? I'd like to find out a little bit more about a few players. And with that safety spot still a little bit of a question mark, scroll down this a little bit faster here. There we go. So Chavez, I would like to find, hit the wrong button there. And we're gonna have to do that all over again. Big scroll, all the way back down. Chavez, select you there. Why it's why, I don't know. But Chavez, I would like to find out more. That's for sure. Is there a corner here in the mid rounds that just seems interesting enough? Not that we don't already have a lot of information on. So I think we use the last two spots to try to separate some of these linebackers then. I know we liked Godwin, so we'll keep Godwin on that list. Do we still have Chavez on here? Yes, we do. Okay. And McLeod was also very intriguing. So that is going to be who we have then. Focusing in on the couple weak spots on defense. That was the weak side for us this year. Chavez, Godwin, and McLeod. Hopefully we actually get the information on them. We'll head to draft week and start to figure out our game plan. Yeah, still got the music going. Good, good. All right. Scout, how much more information do we have on these guys? So Godwin is actually around 3 to 4. So he did go down. I don't know how he could have gone down. The ratings looked good enough to me because he can't shed a block. That is really good information to have. A lot of really good coverage ratings there. He cannot shed a block. How fast is he? 4.6 to 4.56. What size is he? A little bit hefty. I don't think he could switch to play that strong safety role. The coverage does seem very interesting, and if he's still available in a mid-round, we could double dip. We need a lot of help at linebacker. McLeod also goes down. Coverage man. He's a little bit faster. Not by much, but a little bit. He could block shed a little bit more. So, I mean, honestly, we could triple dip and just get a lot of depth. But Mike Andrews still seems to be the main man. As for Chavez here, he goes up. So we do get information on all of them. The hybrid guy, sub 4.5. Acceleration, though, only listed as decent. The B-man, C-zone. A really good catching. Injuries at a good spot. He could shed some blocks. He's smart with the awareness. I think we have our early selections definitely solidified here. Still leaves questions around the center, but we can make a trade at center. But I think we focus then on the defense here. Linebacker, safety. Potentially if a corner falls, as there were quite a few of them. And then it just comes BPA. As for mock drafts, right now, mock draft 5 will be selecting last here. Or just jump all the way through. That works. They have us selecting Ty Kendrick. Now, we potentially do need some tackle help. We have someone who could plug and play. It has Mike Andrews going at 30. It has Chavez going at 29. So that means if we want both of those guys, we would have to trade up here prior to around that spot 29. Given that they don't go somewhere else earlier. In fact, it looks like Chavez will be the first safety off the board. Again, safety, it's not a necessity for us. I do feel like Mike Andrews is a necessity for us. But we might have to move up in this draft. Get you around that spot 25 and then consider our options. And it doesn't look like any of these guys that are going to be drafted are in a spot where it's a player that we are trying to give up. So that's also something to consider. But as we consider that, we jump into the draft here. I think I mentioned it earlier. I did go back and turn on the draft timer. We will pause that in the draft to hopefully not have the same bug as we had last time. I'm going to skip that video because I don't want any demonetizations to happen here. But it's draft time, and we will not be moving up inside the top 25. So we're at least going to get to that spot and see how we're looking here. The first pick is going to be Colby Montague, a new quarterback headed to the Saints. We still have a quarterback we want to trade as well. Vikings, they're up next. Will Landry, left edge. As for the Jets, they select Nathan Steen, DT. I don't think actually they might have been one of the teams trying to trade for Lawrence. Yeah, I think that was the one team that we considered even possibly making the trade. Next pick is the Colts. I saw a Dell Winter, second quarterback taken. Now, it's important to note, we're going to be adding some of the Stanford players. I want to find someone that matches. Justin Sorensen could have potentially went number 1 overall, potentially even number 4. We'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll definitely update you on that the start of the next episode. Gallagher off the board, edge rusher to the Rams. Patriots, they go with Arthur Jackson, another DT. Another DT goes to the Cardinals, and Alan Kemp. We also talked about edge rusher Will Landry. Could be Joseph Henry. We might have had Stanford Cardinal go back-to-back. Again, I'll update that as we get into the next episode and I do some editing to the rosters here. Looks like another DT ended up going. Yeah, Brad Steele. That is 4 DTs going in the top 8 selections. Looks like another quarterback goes in Rodriguez. So Steelers with a new quarterback in town. Would that be our former quarterback in Justin Sorensen? Martin Long does go to the Commanders. Got the Seahawks up next. They go cornerback Wendell Stark, first corner to come off the board. And back-to-back with Pat Ferguson then going to the Jaguars. Browns now up. They don't need a center, I can tell you that. Though they add help to the line at tackle in Hunter. Bengals at 14. They go cornerback Trey Curry. Raiders at 15. Another back-to-back for the cornerback group. It's Marcus Holiday. Titans up next. They go receiver Elton McCrary. I do want to check on a receiver on their roster. I'll try to remind myself of that later. Max Elliott, left tackle, goes to the Falcons. Buccaneers. They go left tackle Ryan Wakefield. So a lot of tackles both on offense and defense going here. Bobby Warner adding himself to that bunch. Chicago Bears at 20. Add to it Max Poole. A whole lot of tackles coming off the board here. So it's a good thing we didn't have to find it. Marion Fleming, linebacker, does go the first of the linebackers drafted at 21. Broncos go tight end Nicholas Hackett. Dolphins up next. 23 go corner Joey Drake. Lions at 24, followed by the Packers. And it's edge rusher Jaron Barton. So getting into the range where I would be more comfortable making a trade. Felt like I called the Packers name earlier, but they have not made a selection. Now, what do the Packers need? This is, again, a spot where I think we could take a look here. So where do they have the trades at? Manage team. Just line. Where can I make a trade here? There it is. I'm blind. All right, Packers. What do the Packers need? They're looking for corner receiver. We have a receiver we don't necessarily need and has requested a trade. That would put him in that 3rd spot, so still a wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 2 over Romeo Doubs. Potentially. They're both 82 overall. Packers, though, not much interest there in Wan'Dale Robinson. It also puts them over the cap. They have 0 cap room. That's almost perfect. I don't know how that's possible. Okay, then. So it doesn't look like we're trading with the Packers. Chiefs would be next. Packers select Chad Hanna, one of the interior offensive linemen we had taken a look at. As for the Chiefs, then, going to make this a little bit more streamlined this time. Chiefs are looking for a receiver, but are $63.3 million over the cap. How do you even get to that point? How are you allowed to draft? Well, we can't make a trade there. Gaming Monster, what's up? Checking in here. Kansas City Chiefs don't select our guy here. It was expected around that 29-30 spot. They go with left tackle Aaron Simpson. Eagles, we're not trading with a division rival. So we're going to skip this spot. And it's Dalvin Amos. That's another interior guard we were looking at. Bills, our last opportunity to jump in here prior to where they expected some of the guys we were looking at to go here. So then, Buffalo Bills. We made trades with them in the past. They also are looking at receiver, but again, no one has cap space here. They got plenty of different receivers. Now, it might not cost as much for us to just trade up in general here, and that wouldn't cost any sort of draft picks. Or any sort of cap, I should say. Will cost draft picks. So if we wanted to move up 4 spots here, we toss in a 4th round pick. It's not good enough there at the 128. We give up a top 100 selection. Could we potentially then maybe get something back later on? Does that even things out a little bit here? No, it doesn't. They don't want to give it up, so for the 32nd and 99th overall selection, they still don't want it. Bills being stingy here. They might have to be with only that 1.09 in the cap. But Gaming Monster doing interesting right now. That's how I'm doing. How about you, bud? Trying to right now figure out how to trade up and not miss out on one of our top options. But the Bills don't seem to want to talk. And I don't want to give up a 3rd. Because we got a lot that we need to get done in the top half here. So the Buffalo Bills go cornerback Armin Reed. Now for the Ravens. They were expected to take one of the 2 options we had at the top of this board here. Ravens, what are you looking for? Probably could have went the opposite way there. Would have been quicker. Right guard, strong safety, right? They have 80K, so we're not going to be able to trade them with a player. Just fall down a few selections for us. I'll give you 128. That's not quite good enough for him. Stick out 128. We'll toss 188 your way as well. They're stingy. That's a big gap, but it's a 6th round pick. 32, 128, and 165. And we finally got the deal done. Moving up from 32, up 4 selection, or 3 almost. We are on the board. We are making our selection. It's earlier than we were wanting to. But there's a player that just looks too good to be sitting out there, and that is Mike Andrews. We do not have a 3rd. We don't even have a 3rd linebacker. We got 2 linebackers on roster. Mike Andrews, welcome to the New York Giants. Depending on what he looks like, he could be a starter for us this next season as Bobby Okereke moves on. He looks a whole lot like Drew Sanders. Well, Gaming Monster, this time I'm going to draft right here. Mike Andrews. He's the guy for us, we hope. Moving up 4 selections. We give up a 4th and a 6th. He's number 5 overall. We get him at number 29. Good awareness and reaction as a defender. Some of this is behind my head. Wrap up and drag down tackler. So you're saying he's a hip drop guy. Good news, that penalty's not in the game. And hit power will strike fear into ball carriers. That's what we want to see. He is a hidden dev, 84 speed, 90 acceleration with some good strength. That is a massive pick from Ohio State. Great start here for us. Now, do we consider moving up again? We've got the capital that we could move around if we want to trade again. As a reminder, the player that we are taking a look at this spot would be Jonathan Chavez. Around 1 to 2 projection. It's not a need. It's not a necessity, I should say. But trying to find someone that fits more in our scheme. He's got the man, not as much zone, but as a strong safety. I want that man ability to cover the tight ends, to cover the running backs. He's got the tackle ability. The awareness is there to work on the play rec. He's not injury prone. He runs a sub 4.5, which for safety is fantastic. It's 5'10", 220 out of Auburn. Gaming Monster, we're talking about Chavez here, kind of good. Looks very interesting. Top fits were the Ravens, so the Panthers may no longer be interested. And that could help us out, but then someone else might be interested. So we might not have to make that selection here. Ravens, though, would be at spot 32, so we would have to trade back up to our own spot that we were originally at, or before that. And the Texans, if we just wanted to take a look here. Yeah, Gaming, talking about Chavez, could be very interesting. Again, it's not a need, but it's definitely a want. Panthers, they don't need, they have cap space too. They have cap space. And something that would be very interesting. Gaming, yeah, he was selected to go to the Ravens. We traded up with the Ravens, took the linebacker who was expected to go to the Panthers here. So we already took that off the board. But we had to get the top 5 guy first. So he is projected to go round 1. But something that popped into my head here is they are wanting DT. They already came to us earlier about wanting Dexter Lawrence. They've got a very familiar face here in Alex Augustine. We know we already wanted to pick up another defensive tackle here. Could we work something out? We get their number 1 selection. They get Dexter Lawrence. We get Alex Augustine back, and we get Chavez? I don't know. That might be fleecing the system here. 96 strength, 86 true block shedding with 81 power moves, 83 speed. He was a do-it-all 3-tech for us. Played a little bit of left and right edge on occasion at Stanford with Coach Bearington. I think I have a deal I want to put on the table. DT for them is a big need. They have Derek Brown. When we were with the Panthers, Brown dealt a lot with injuries. Saying DT first round pick, maybe a second next year. We're going to work out something here. You weren't here earlier. We did talk about trading away Dexter Lawrence because he just hasn't been producing, and he's taken up $26.5 million. And we're wanting to make this a little bit more difficult here for us. So Dexter Lawrence, Alex Augustine, give me your first round selection as well. I still feel like we could get even more from this, though. It'd be a future selection. It'd be like a future 2. And then maybe even a 2029 4. What do we think about this? Does this look like a good trade to make? Dexter Lawrence, 98 overall X Factor. Alex Augustine, a young player, second year. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he's a star dev. and he would be involved in a 3-man rotation up front. We get their number 1 selection this year, their top selection this year, a 2 next year, and a 4 later. Then could take out the 2nd and make a 3rd and drop the 4. Could, but I like having these extra selections because the way I keep my roster at a safe spot for cap room is trading away guys before they need their contract and bringing in some younger guys. That's why I like having these extra selections. Let's see here. Do the Panthers want a tie? A big trade could go down right here. Dexter Lawrence. Hold up. The trade is not possible with the draft pick selected. Please make sure that the teams will not exceed the limit of 25 draft picks per team per year, and that they still own the draft picks selected. Well, why wouldn't they? Because it unpaused the draft. They go with Hilliard. Texans are now on. Why does the draft keep doing me like this? Every single time. We paused it at the beginning. It unpaused it. Texans. No longer do we have a trade then to bring in Alex Augustine. So that's kind of off the board here. Ravens again expected to go with Chavez at 32. So then, Texans. They have a guy that we also very much know about. We just beat them in the Super Bowl. I don't know how much they would want to talk. Why did I go all the way around? Could have just went the other way. DT for them is also a big need. But I don't think they have the cap space to absorb what we want here. Because I was going to say we could take Jason Blair. Another DT for us in that Stanford series. Or Coach Bearington, very well known. Not as much speed, but still a very similar player. But now they don't have the cap. So that is a big miss, and Madden said, no, you know. That's basically what just happened. Madden told us no. We select at spot 50. So it wouldn't be a massive drop, but it would still be a pretty big drop. And Chavez, again, is not a necessity for us. And we could still make a trade post-draft as well if we really want to switch around the safeties. So that's a bit of a miss. That is definitely a bit of a miss. We'll have to continue on from there then. Thank you, EA. Texans select DT Chauncey Jennings. And with the final selection, it's going to skip to a new page, so keep your eye up on the top right corner. Ravens select Jonathan Chavez. We figured that was going to be the case. We'll have to check in on him post-draft. But Madden did us dirty there by turning back on the clock. I don't know why it was on. Now it's going to become BPA here. We select at 50 and at 46. 46. Flipping numbers in my head. 64. 2 selections here in the second round. BPA is what we are doing here. So we're going to skip to our next user selection. Down to 50. Just a quick glance over at these names here, seeing if there's anyone I know, and that would be a no. So that does mean we could double dip at the linebacker spot. Of the talent grades we do know, there is a round 1 to 2 receiver in Joaquin Quinones. I either nailed that or completely butchered that. We do potentially need that slot receiver. He is a slot archetype, running about a 4.46 to a 4.4 flat. Really good short route running, okay medium. Catching traffic is and then you got good catching. No release. What about that injury? B injury, so that part's at least good. I'm sure he would be a solid receiver. But if we want Ben Vallejo to see some playing time, we don't necessarily want to add competition, or even Hoffman, for a position that does not see the field that often. But if there was an injury at receiver, it could be nice to have a little bit more hope of someone there, because I'm not sure if Hoffman or Ben Vallejo could play on the outside. Obviously still with a strong running game. But he's definitely a solid option here. That's a talent that we know, round 1 to 2. The linebackers we were considering in McLeod and Godwin, they went down, so they'll still be available for a little while. Now, there are other positions that we had interest in. There has been a corner that dropped, but he's not a very highly rated guy. In fact, maybe the next best option at corner would be someone like Kyle Rout. Actually, no, I was looking at the wrong set. I was looking at the catching included in that. Junior Lamb wouldn't be an awful guy. Sees across the board in terms of zone, man, and press ability. Gaming Monster. Receiving room is Malik Neighbors. Malik Johnson, a guy we drafted last year as an X Factor. Outside of that, it's a bunch of like UDFA or 6th, 7th round guys, including Ben Vallejo from the Stanford Cardinal series we had. But we primarily run like a 22 personnel, so 2 receivers, tight end, running back, or a fullback in there. So we don't utilize a lot of 3 or 4 receiver spreads. So that's why I'm being a little bit light here with the receiving group on purpose. Sorry, just checking a couple messages here, making sure I'm not behind on anything. All right. Yeah, nothing spectacular there. Defensive tackle, we didn't make any of those trades. There aren't anyone available at this time here at DT that necessarily stands out. Around 1 to 2 edge rusher, Darren Calcutta. Good power moves, good block shed. Could be a really solid option if someone like Thibodeau doesn't end up panning out, as he had a really good half of the year last year. Then draft him in the early 3rd. We'll definitely be looking at that. Now, Calcutta, not a fast guy, more of a strong guy. Looks more like a 3-tech. What is his size? Oh, yeah, for sure. He's a 3-tech. I would say similar to, honestly, Augustine, the guy that we were going to trade for. Obviously, Madden took that away, but Calcutta, very interesting. Wouldn't be the potential guy to take over as the edge rusher, at least at right. Over at left, there is Emmanuel Carmichael available, another round 1 to 2. Very similar with the B for the power and the block shed. He's also a heftier guy too, 6'3", 300. A lot of 3-techs here. This guy probably closer to a nose tackle, running a 5-second plus 40. And I doubt there's any good interior offensive linemen left. A couple tackles have slipped through, but a majority of them taken early. What about running back? Again, not a need here, but none of these guys really are at the top. We didn't really talk about this position, but obviously if we're going somewhere else, we need another running back. There was an interesting guy here, interesting guy here in Devin Myers, who has the B with the break tackle, the truck, the stiff arm, potentially some decent spin move there, but listed as a receiving back with that trucking was really intriguing. 4.54 or 4.45. Wouldn't be bad. It's a day 3 selection, so we're not going to take that now, but just taking a look there. In terms of players that have fallen and getting something that you know is for sure, I think it comes down to potentially going after that receiver because he could be gone. We might still have him available come that second pick here in the second. It's either that, perhaps Darren Calcutta, who could very well see the playing field this year. Again, with a plan to trade away DT and Dexter Lawrence. A lot of strength with some speed there. I feel like he would have a bigger impact than the receiver. So we're going to follow Gaming Monster's idea here. Draft early 3rd, perhaps late last pick of the 2nd. We're going to go with Darren Calcutta. And good news is, Madden didn't break and start the clock again and make us select someone we didn't want to select. We get our guy this time. And we're going to add a monster up front, trying to rebuild the interior of this defensive line. He looks happy. Looks a little thin. We might have to have him pack on a few more pounds there. A B- grade. True talent 41. We got him at 50. Set state record for bench reps in high school. Able to easily disengage in one-on-one. Consistently shows high-level instincts and is a normal dev. 79 speed. I was expecting a little bit more there, like at 81. But 79 down the middle, not bad. With 91 strength, he'll probably be our second strongest defensive tackle after Dexter Lawrence leaves. Not a bad selection there. Now we have to hope that the receiver is still on the board. We're not going to trade up. For our next user selection, jumping forward, scanning the names here, he went to the Chargers at 53. So a bit of a miss there. Taj Goodwin, one of the linebackers we were looking at, he does go at 63. So we could still double dip at that linebacker spot. I believe one of them is still available. And just checking overall talent grades that we know. We're getting into that round 3 to 4. McLeod is the next man up here, at least from the things that we know. Dalvin McLeod, as a reminder here, a pass pro. That's strictly what he does, though he was the one that had the slightly better block shed. So some more upside here would be the 4th linebacker on roster. Some solid combine numbers. Dalvin McLeod definitely at the top of what we're looking for right now. Just taking a look at the guys that are still on the board here. Don't need a tight end. No, I do love drafting a tight end. Coverage not looking great there. What about some of these safeties? Any good safeties falling here? There's a few round 2 to 3s. Owen McLaughlin. He's got some man. Don't know much about the zone. Good tackling, though. Injuries okay. Juan Solano. C for the zone. Don't know about the man. Good block shed. Tresman Monty. So no one's standing out in terms of coverage. Got Victor Lopez with horrific zone coverage. And Caleb Barker at Mississippi State, who can't cover anybody. So yeah, not looking great in terms of finding someone for the secondary, at least right now. Decent here in Matthew Bonds with that B for the man, C for the zone. Raymond Rosemond, very much just a man cover guy with some good press. Similarly here with Antonio Presley, but those are down the line selections. Again, receiver not a necessity for us, so we didn't push hard on it. Looks like JoJo Barton is going to be the next guy who is about on par with where he should be. Doesn't look good, though. Other option, AJ Spears. Good catching, can't catch in traffic, not going to be good for a slot receiver. Receiver might be out. I wouldn't be against finding a tight end in the later rounds here. You have a few guys. You got Vasquez and Galindo. Will probably be too early of a selection for us. So it looks like linebacker, as that other edge rusher did go. Which he wasn't really an edge rusher anyway. Deshaun McCutcheon could be an option later. Would that be the power moves? Got a couple options as well in the late rounds over at right edge. So it looks like linebacker is going to be the best option for us. So we're going to double dip there. We're going to catch Dalvin McLeod from his fall. For the last pick here, Gaming Monster said tight end or receiver probably. I don't know. Wasn't fitting what I was looking for, at least. We are 3 deep at tight end. More so 2 deep with Fedoni playing fullback. But we might go tight end and receiver at the later part of this draft. But we bring in another linebacker here, adding a lot of competition. We did overdraft this time, though. McLeod was a 98 true rank. We got him at 64. More than enough speed, though. Gets good depth when dropping in zone and shows great range and pursuit. So the scouting report is positive. He's a normal dev with 88 speed. Yeah, that's fantastic. Depending on what those coverage ratings are. Strong safety? He's got the speed for it, at least. We'll find out. I mean, A zone, B man. We'll see what that means for a Mike linebacker. But not too bad of a selection. Now we go into the third. And we have 96. And it looks like that is it. Only one selection here in the third. We're going to skip on ahead then to that selection. See what we got on the board now. Now I would consider potential going with some running backs. Guys who have fallen earlier that might be tradable. Normally that would be like a quarterback or so, but it looks like all the quarterbacks have been taken. Running back wise, looks like Archibald, Broughton, Barrow, Ramos, those are all guys later. So the receiving back didn't end up getting selected. And Mickens is a true day 3. So they have Geraldo, who did go up. Catching traffic just isn't, it's not fitting what we're looking for here. Skylar Sweet was a guy who did kind of fit what we were looking for. He just doesn't have any route running. So it doesn't look like we're going to make any moves really at receiver. Any good linemen on the board? Because we're pretty thin at that spot too. There's a day 3, Cam Brock. Power guy. Do like some power guys. Obviously not selecting him now, but just getting familiar. More of a run blocker. Could be a bad selection here late. Offensive or defensive line now. Quinton Weary. Definitely an edge rusher at 257. He's got the finesse, a little bit of power. Might not be a bad option. What about that DT I really liked here in the later rounds? Yeah, Nathan Murray. He's still down here. Probably need to pick him up in like the 4th or the 5th. Because I don't want to miss out on him. That's a big body guy who really filled out that depth for us. Romaine Roseman is available here. 21 years old, round 3 to 4. He's got the man, he's got the press. That is a solid guy to try to develop if the zone, or if the man is already there. You got to develop the zone. But right now, he might be the best guy on the board here for us. Him or Presley? What's the speed between the two? 21 years old, running a 4.55, so not the fastest. He does have 8 catching. Injuries key to an F2. Presley. A little bit older out of Boise State. A little bit slower. No hands. So I would still have Roseman up towards the top there. Ches Thomas. Didn't get Chavez, but maybe a Ches. Could potentially be balanced, though he is listed as a zone, so probably not. Sanchez and Hepner. Not much coverage ability there. There is the potential down the line here at Howie Westbrook. B-man coverage. I would like to add him to my board, but not a possibility here in the draft. Something they probably should fix. Looks like we're going to go with the corner. Tremaine Roseman. Fill out that group a little bit with some true talent that we know. Some B-man, B-press. And he's coming in pretty close to where he was ranked. 110, we got him at 96. Not a burner, but decent speed. Probably more of a slot guy. Shows good instincts. Allows receivers too much separation in man. And how does he have good man coverage? Normal dev, 88 speed. We'll see where that zone comes in at. Again, maybe he could be someone that shifts over and plays some safety as well, depending on what the tackling is. But we know he should have some catching. Right now we are filling in some holes on the roster as we move into the 4th round. This could be a round where we do look to go after that DT. We do pick in a couple selections here. So the Saints, they go Quentin Weary. That was a guy we could have gone after. Vikings, they go Elijah Kelly, another DT off the board. And just like that, we are back on the board. It looks like a lot of the true talent that we know is going to be later on here. There is a receiver, Max Young, day 3, but projected talent is round 3 to 4. There's three different receivers with that archetype, or that blend, whatever it is. A 6'5", 235 receiver out of Oklahoma. Sounds a whole lot like our receiver, whose name is not coming to my head right now at Kent State, who we got to transfer from Oklahoma. Ivan Carrion. It's Ivan Carrion build right here with good speed. Do we want a 6'5" guy playing in the slot? A spec catch. The route running is honestly horrific, but the release is there. Max Young is definitely high up on our board here. That is for sure. The other option that we have, running back, might be a little bit later. We already looked at the receivers. Could go tight end, not necessary for us right now. The offensive lineman did not look good. Potentially Ben Enriquez, day 3 selection. More of a pass pro backup, so backup for the tackles. Javier Gates, a power guy who has the upside for the run blocking. Honestly, the pass blocking doesn't look horrific either. Might be more of a 6th-round selection for us there. Couple options here at right tackle. They look okay. I think the other guys were better. Edge rush, we do need to find some depth guys here, and that might just be selecting quite a few young guys and seeing who sticks towards the end here. But some options there at left. Definitely some options here as well. Not going to find any duality kind of players at this point. Closest you're going to get to that is Cesar Santos, the C power and C for the block shed. Gaming, what I'm looking for a receiver, it would be that number 3 guy for us, and that would be a slot guy. So I just want someone who can catch over the middle. Catching traffic would be big. But if there's just really good talent, I'll select other guys. I don't think I need any other DTs outside the ones I already want to select. That guy went down in talent. More potential in drafteds. Antonio Presley just went with a corner. So yeah, I think we're going to go with that receiver. We're going to go for the 6'5", 235-pound Max Young receiver out of Oklahoma. Draft him. Yes, we do. He's got good speed, good height. He's more of a down-the-field outside receiver, so a backup. So if we get someone else for the slot, or even if we just rock with Ben Vallejo or Hoffman, right? Say they get injured, or say when the Neighbors or Malik Johnson get injured, they're not going to play well on the outside. So perhaps this man right here could play on the outside. 102 true talent, got him at 99. Reliable pass cover or catcher. If he could cover someone, great. All-star contested catchability, catches with regularity to make top 10 highlight reels. So he's a boom or bust guy at 89 speed, 90 acceleration, 87 jumping while already being 6'5". I mean, I wouldn't be against maybe inserting him into some packages down closer to the goal line, get him on the outside, and we could have Neighbors come play some slot. And then we'll have Malik Johnson, who's a physical catcher, a 6'5 receiver, Theo Johnson, the tight end, who's already, I think, 6'5", 270. And then Neighbors, I mean, good luck stopping us. Not a bad selection, I assume. Now, we do have no more selections here in the 4th. We traded it earlier, yeah. So we will skip ahead then to the 5th round. And I'm hoping that DT's still there. Just taking a quick glance over everyone. Archibald, a running back that we had the possibility of going after, was selected. But what about that DT? I'm not seeing him It looks like he already went. That is a big miss. He was one of the DTs who had Bs, I think, across the board here late. We're not having the best luck when it comes to some of these DT moves we're trying to get done in this one, but kind of expected. So now at this point, 5th round, we got to start filling out some holes on a roster. And you're looking at some day 3 selections. So with that being said, which of the day 3s are better? Peyton here, B for the zone, or for the finesse, F for the block shed. Anybody got something better than that? Get the power with Cedric Walker. Good awareness. D for the block shedding. He might be the best option on the board. Take a look here. Cedric Walker, 6'5", 279. He's on the older side, 24 years old. Decent speed. Nothing groundbreaking, but still has some strength to try to set the edge. Good awareness there. Tackling isn't awful. Injury is not awful either. So he could definitely be an option, but he was not initially on my board. Again, just going with positions where we need some bodies, because right now I think we only have 2 edge rushers on the team. Actually, make that 3 edge rushers on the team. I think we're going to go after Cedric Walker. It's either that or some more linebackers. And all the linebackers I like are potential undrafted at this point. So, drafting need, Cedric Walker from Rice. Drafted, one of the few players probably from Rice in the NFL now. We don't need the fancy show here. A good draft pick for us. We got him at 142. He was 137. Routinely converts leverage into power when rushing the passer. Will strength translate to NFL? That is a question. Struggles to break free when engaged. Well, we saw all that from the report. Normal depth. We'll see if that speed can maintain the outside. 79, probably more of a strong side than a weak side, if Madden properly had that in the game. Now we do have another selection here in the 5th, so we will jump to that. Running back, tight end, positions to keep an eye out on. Still more edge rushers. We do need those. Receiver here in Rayshawn Boone has fallen. Good break tackle. Just keep a look at him. 6'4", 215. Okay speed. A whole lot of Fs. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. Take a look at those running backs here. All the ones, pretty much all of them that are left are potential undrafted outside of Jaden McKinney. He doesn't have great carrying or moves or anything that translates to the NFL. What about tight end? Most of the tight ends also are gone. Fullback, none of them projected. Let me see some combine numbers here. We got anybody with some speed? A 4.61. Nicholas Mullins. Utility. Because if we draft a fullback, then that could move Fedoni to actual tight end. It's a spot that could help us out a little bit. Possibly up to a 4.55. Carry. Catching is questionable. Finesse, nothing crazy for the run block, nor the power. Run block in general is a D. Yeah, I don't see anything there that's very intriguing. Next option would be someone like Eric Kendrick, not to be confused with Eric Kendricks, a linebacker that we had for a couple seasons here. Run blocking maybe is a little bit better. But yeah, nothing sticking there. What about the offensive line? Ben Enriquez, he was that backup, or not physicals, attributes. He was that backup pass protector, I believe. Right? Am I getting confused here? Who's the guy I have on my board? Ben Enriquez. There we go. Yeah, good pass pros. just next to nothing when it comes to the run block. But we do need depth at that spot now. 21 years old, out of Tulane, definitely high up on the board. Gates is another option for us in the interior, perhaps a little bit more balance there. Good run block power. He could be really solid too. I think these two could be our next two selections. And then maybe we go back over to getting some more depth. So I think first we get the draftable player, Ben Enriquez, some depth for the offensive line. As we've lost two starters from last year up front, shifted around some guys. We'll see if they stick or not. And we overdrafted at 160. True rank was 219. Played college basketball for 2 years. Comfortable in pass pro. Firm base. Helps with the power rush. So, again, he's a backup. It's a 6th round pick. I'm not too upset. Or maybe that was a late 5th, actually. That was the end of the 5th. So now we're getting into the 6th. And we will jump forward to our next spot. We're going to see if that guard was still available. No. So someone else also saw his talent. Ends up picking up the run blocker. Big miss. We're just waiting around perhaps a little too much on some of these guys. Devin Parks, a power rusher with 0 block shed or finesse moves. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, you got someone maybe like Jeremy Davis, who does have some power moves. Good play rec and awareness as well. Was not on my board, but I think he should have been. Jeremy Davis, out of Texas. Not seeing tremendous speed with this bunch, but he could be a solid option. Put him on the board, or keep him in mind at least. Need more DT action here. There is an A finesse move for Jason Lippett. It's a one-trick pony, but a solid pony. Potential and draft is not going to go there yet. Nick Macy, can you cover anybody? No. Well, do you want to get a long snapper this year? Save myself some money. But it looks like the guy out of Texas is our guy. Got to find what spot he was at. Jeremy Davis, speed rusher with some smarts, adding some more depth to the defensive line. We don't need to see the announcement here. That was a good selection. We got him at 188. True talent is at 119. I'm going to take that down here. Not streaming tomorrow. We just do the streams for the off season. We're not quite there yet when it comes to Kent State, but a good episode will be out tomorrow. You don't want to miss that one. If you guys have not already, hit the like button, sub button. Make sure you are sticking around here. A lot of big things yet to come here as we are moving to the final round of the NFL draft. And this will be our second to last selection here. Still did not find any sort of running backs. We'll take a look. A lot of these guys are going to be potential undrafted. It's a power back here. Not awful looking. I would prefer to find someone with some speed, just as that complement to the power of Cameron Scadaboo. Looks like the fastest player left is going to be Micah Barker, running a 4.46. So maybe not the best options left here. And then quarterback-wise, no one's standing out. Receivers, everyone seems to be mostly undrafted until you get to the undrafteds. There is a round 3 to 4 sitting down here. Devontae Dillon out of Tulsa, 6'2", 203. Fine 40. He's not strong. Decent bit of quickness to his game. He has hands. He's a deep route runner that is raw. He would be more of like a return man, but we already have that with Hoffman. But could be an option just in terms of bringing in good depth. Tight end wise, anyone here who can catch and can run block? You do have Tony Reeves with an A run block. The catching is horrendous. Here's an interesting player, Eric Stevenson out of Cal. B run block, A catching. Everything else is going to be a range. You don't know a whole lot, but there's definitely some good possibilities here. 6'4", 263, 21 years old. Not a bad 40. Decent bench rep, pretty good bench reps for a tight end. If these are all accurate to the overall board and not just the current board, really good combine. Injuries A to a C. That's our selection. We bring in a tight end here in the 7th round of the draft. And he comes in as a really good spot for us. 206 overall, but 161. Reliable pass catcher, good speed for a tight end. Intermediate route running is inconsistent. Yeah, we knew that there would be some inconsistencies with that game. But now, we have a chance to select Mr. Irrelevant. We'll jump to that selection here. We're going to find out who we're going with. Overall, who went up the most? A long snapper, Ty Rivers, jumps up 163 spots. Talked about wanting to get a long snapper. Well, now we definitely can. That is for sure. Any position players going up? Xavier Keys, he went up quite a bit. Good size, hybrid. Not too bad of speed. Overall, good combine. Again, if this is relative to the start of the draft. The coverage is just awful. Running backs. Again, we're going to find all these guys as UDFAs. This is more for if you want to lock down a good contract. And I think that would be trying to bring in a long snapper. Save us some money. Long snapper, A to C. Sure hope that's towards the high range because Ty Rivers, you are Mr. Irrelevant. We draft a long snapper. And he doesn't get any information. Can we do our long snappers a little bit better here? Come on, Madden. That's the draft. All done and dusted. How good are they? We're about to find out. Draft recap. And our number one selection is a 79 overall Mike Andrews. I think our one and only hidden dev player of this class, but he's the one player who very well could be starting out the gate here. Very similar overall to a lot of our linebackers. Good speed, good tackle. Block shedding is a work in progress. I think he will be that number 3 guy. Hopefully that chair wasn't too loud. Had to adjust. But not bad whatsoever. Injury is a concern at a 78. So he's going to be that third linebacker for us. And we're going to see how he develops. I'm hoping he's going to make big impacts like Carter did as that number 3 guy, who's now Carter's going to be our number 2 guy this year. But still a really good selection. Number 2 guy, 74 overall. We didn't really know where we wanted to go. We stumbled across Darren Calcutta after we weren't able to make the trade that we really wanted to make. And that was bringing in Alex Augustine, getting a second-round pick, or our second first-round pick, I should say, and going after Chavez, which we will check on. Madden said no, because it unpaused the draft for some reason. We get Darren Calcutta. At 74 overall, his number is going to change. I can tell you that. He's got the block shedding. The power moves is not as high as I thought it would be, but it's going to be good depth for us. And in fact, he's going to be more of a DT. So let's go ahead and make that adjustment, and then we'll judge him from there. So DT, not wearing a number in the 60s or 70s. Give me something good here in the 90s. 99, I don't think that fits him. How about we go 90? That looks better. I don't think Giants have a number 90 that's retired. So Calcutta goes up 2 overall, now to a 76. That's going to make it look a little bit better. That block shedding still needs some improvement. But this looks like a good number 3 defensive tackle. A good 3 tech with really good injury. So he should be reliable. That's what we like to see. Now for Dalvin McLeod here. We drafted him a little bit early. Still comes in a 70 overall. So I'm not upset about that. We got to work on that block shed. Got to work on the man coverage. But as that number 4 linebacker, it's pretty solid. We considered that maybe he could play safety. He does not have the man coverage that would translate. Keep in mind, I believe it was a A-zone B man listed as Mike linebacker. So that's what this ends up panning out to be. Cannot play safety. Speed-wise, he could. In fact, he's faster than Tyler Nubin. But coverage-wise, that would be horrendous. So not going to do that, but a good depth pick there. Then we go Roseman, getting in now to the sub-70 overalls. 21 years, though, 69 overall. He'll be our number 5 guy. Again, he's got that man, he's got that press out the gate. We're going to work on that zone for sure. And if he sees the field, great. He'll be a special teams guy for now. Max Young, the 6'5 receiver, and a possibility to play on the outside. Number 82 seems all right, but yeah, the route running is as raw as it could be, but the hands are not in a bad spot. I expected spec catch to perhaps be a little bit higher, given how much they hyped it up. I believe it was an A rating, and they talked about in the scouting report all of his ability, top 10, consistent catcher. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of playing time he gets, but he could definitely be a guy who could do a job on the outside. Got a little bit of that release with the height, good spec catch. I'm sure we'll see something from him in the not too distant future. Cedric Walker, this is going to be a lot of the depth players. 68 overall edge rusher, and actually comes in with a true edge rusher number. A good number, too. 73 power. Got to work on the other things, but he's got a little bit of some speed, a little bit of some strength. All in all, good backup. He'll quickly get his way into the 70s. Ben Enriquez, a depth for the offensive line. A most likely just left tackle, considering he doesn't know how to run block. But good depth. We needed to replace some depth. So I'm not too upset about that. In fact, overall, our lowest guy drafted was a 66 overall in Enriquez. Everyone else is going to be above that, so I'm pretty happy with it. Jeremy Davis out of Texas, found him. His number will definitely be changing. He'll be a depth guy for sure. See a little bit of playing time, maybe some special teams. Maybe like field goal, PAT block, something like that. Eric Stevenson, took a shot on him out of Cali, 67 overall. 88 is his number. Hands look pretty solid. Route running is horrendous. Catching traffic isn't bad. Where's his run block? 64, not too bad either. I think for the job we want him to do, he'll do it. A number 3 tight end to come in instead of having to have the backup left tackle come in and play some tight end. And then we wrap it up by drafting Ty Rivers. Number 4, that is changing. 75 long snap. I hope that's fine. Well, let's give you a number here in like the 40s or something. Something I don't typically use. Any ugly 45, or pardon to anyone who does have a number in the 40s or likes numbers in the 40s. I'm not too key on those. Let's go 47 for the long snapper. I don't know what the rules are for the long snapper numbers. I imagine they just kind of get whatever's left. But that is not a bad class. But there are a couple spots I do want to check. Round 1 here. And supposedly, EA fixed it, so it shouldn't break the game. Though, before we do that, just in case, I am going to save it. Because I don't want to ruin anything here for us. So we're going to jump out there, then we'll jump back in. All right, draft recap. We're all saved up here. Round 1. I want to see what we missed out here on Chavez. All the way down, Chavez, a 75 overall hidden dev. All right. 91 speed. Dual ability there. Could have played strong or could have played free. I'd say probably more strong with a good hit power. Catching abilities there. Tackling abilities there. The acceleration's just a little bit low. Could have been an option for us. Again, wasn't a big need for us. We still have Tyler Nubin. But that could have been really good selection. Outside of him, I don't think there was anything in particular that I was looking for outside of a defensive tackle here in the later rounds. Let's see if I can find him. We didn't go in the 5th. Did we go in the 4th? He did go in the 4th. Nathan Murray. Ended up being a normal dev, but this was the guy that I said had B's for power, finesse, and block shed. Out of Florida. And yeah, that would have been a really good selection there, even in the 4th. Very similar to the DT that we ended up getting much earlier in the draft. A little bit slower. A little bit stronger. Yeah, that would have really rounded out a really good DT group. Now, there are still trades that are to be made, and that will most likely be looked at next time. We can take a peek here, just so you guys can leave your input. That might be included at the beginning of the next episode, as we have been going on here for 2.5 hours at this point. We still have Robinson, Lawrence, and Tracy. We go to check our roster. We also want Glenn Teal to be traded, but no one has even come in for him. That's one we could probably look to get done right here, right now. So what quarterback, or what team is the most quarterback needy? We got a 73 overall quarterback. I mean, he could at least be a backup for the Commanders. No one has a low overall quarterback here? Okay. The league is actually doing pretty well with quarterbacks. Now, he could potentially be a backup for someone. Josh Allen getting on the older side. Browns signed Stafford, so Sanders is still a backup. Gotta love it. Could send him to the Bucks. Baker Mayfield, 32 years old. Who knows how much longer he sticks around. Cardinals potentially drafted the replacement for Kyler Murray. This time a little bit taller, about 30 pounds heavier. New quarterback for the Colts. Mac Jones is now there, as well as Minshew and Leonard. They went after Del Winter. Penix having a much better career here than in real life. Lions, potentially. I feel like Teal could be a solid backup here behind Goff. They don't have the space for it, though. Anthony Richardson is now with the Rams. Okay. Colby Montague. I want to say that was the #1 selection in this draft class. Let me just take a look at the player here. He's a strong arm improviser. He's got 79 speed. I don't know if this is Justin Sorensen. Game Mustang 2 hours. Yeah, we've been going since 2 p.m. Pacific time. We've been going for a while. Yeah, potentially. I would want Sorensen to be a starter. So that might be an option. Rattler and Shook, they're kind of out of a starting spot. Sam Darnold, he's got a backup here in Max Woodard. Yeah. Steelers, I'm pretty sure, drafted Rodriguez, maybe even in the first round. Might have been second round. I don't think they needed a quarterback, but they have one. They have plenty. Yeah, so it looks like we'll be holding on to Teal, I guess, for right now, because there's a lot more better quarterbacks in this league than I anticipated. Still need to find a potential running back 2 here. Tyrone Tracy will be traded. We've got a lot of different options for that wide receiver 3. I think depending on what we're looking for that spot, because obviously, you know, Young, he's more of an outside guy. Hoffman, Vallejo, going to be more of that slot. I don't know much about Allen Wells or Redding. In fact, we might have an episode that is strictly preseason. Or you guys can let me know. In the comments now, I'll leave a poll too. Do you want another live stream that would be on Tuesday? That would be the off season, or perhaps we might even do it in this weekend. We might do another live stream, just going through some games, getting an idea of some of these young guys to fill in that role, and in that we could then look to make that trade as well, or these trades. Filling out that tight end spot pretty well. Might need to find. We still need to find a center, so we still have to make that trade. Because I don't think German would be a good option to put in there. He just doesn't have that run blocking. But we'll take a look. We still need some depth here for sure. Looks like Cedric Walker can get moved over to the left edge, and that should have him as a scheme fit there and help balance things out a little bit for us. Looks a little bit better. Well, again, still have to get rid of Dexter Lawrence. We'll find some UDFAs as well. Signed a couple linebackers. And Mike Andrews here. He is a scheme fit, but he's going to have to move out to, what was that? Be the will linebacker. So Sam, is Drew Sanders really a Sam? His strength is a 72. That's a will linebacker through and through. So we're going to make that adjustment here. Those who don't know, Sam means strong side, Will means weak side. And when I think of that, I think weak side, you want to have your fastest linebacker there to cover the ground over to the other side. Now, he's not going to be a scheme fit there, which is a bit unfortunate, but he's not far off of it. One upgrade to the pass pro, and he should be a scheme fit there. And then you do have at least a little bit more strength here with Andrews. 75, so he is the strongest of our linebackers, so that does make him a good Sam. And then I think for obviously strong side, you want your stronger linebacker because you want him to help set the edge between shoving back that tight end, allowing the flow over the top, making the tackles. That's that, but we do still need some linebackers. We'll help fill in that group with maybe some UDFAs at Will, at Mike. Maybe look for a vet mentor. That'd probably be a good spot to stick over at the Sam. Cornerback-wise, we did bring in Roseman. That's, I mean, a pretty good group of 5 right there. We did not get the change done at safety like we were hoping. We might focus on Newman in the preseason or in the spring training camps or whatever. See if we can get an upgrade that does include some speed. Probably not, but we at least have some depth there. New kicker, new long snapper. All in all, not too shabby. How did some of our rivals do here? And this will be the last thing we're going to go over, because I still have to stay on this menu to find where people were drafted and make the changes to the roster to represent the players joining us from the Stanford Cardinals series. But starting towards the top here, going from the top, we start with the Commanders. They found a really good receiver, Martin Long, 79 overall. Normal dev, though. Short, but a playmaker with some speed. He's more of a down-the-field kind of guy. He's going to put more stress than, more stress than on our safeties. Tony Dockery, a solid-looking tight end here, hidden dev. Good speed, a little bit raw. More of a receiving threat than a blocking threat. And they got a right guard in the 7th. Hidden dev Steven Kramer. What a find. This isn't the guard that I wanted to pick up, was it? Because if it was, I'm going to be really upset. He was more of the run blocker, which this guy or he was more of a power guy. So it very well could be. Commanders might have stolen the guy I wanted. But not a bad draft for them. They did miss on Cesar Santos, which is a guy that we took a brief look at, so I'm glad we didn't go that way. Cowboys, a lighter class here. And their top two guys weren't bad. Brad Steele, they go DT. 74 overall. They're trying to stop Cameron Scattaboo down the middle. And I don't think Steele's going to do it. Tackle, though, is not bad. 80 for a rook. I've seen worse. They go after a will linebacker in Chase Stevens. That name sounds familiar. Hidden Dev from Michigan State. No run stop ability. 61 block shed. Tackling is a 73. He's basically a glorified safety. And then their other picks probably won't see the field this year. As for the Eagles, they get an 80 overall. Wow, I went Australian there for a moment. 80 overall in Dalvin Amos. Hidden Dev, he was a guy that was on our board that could have potentially played center, and he would have been a phenomenal center. What's his size? A bit heavy for a center, but that run blocking looks phenomenal. And he's just a pure mauler. That's all he is. He's a mauler. I would have been happy with that 83 injury, though. Bit of a concern. But that is, it's not a Kelsey replacement because he's right guard, but still a good selection. Morales was another guy that we had taken a brief look at. He was the hidden dev out of Washington. Coverage isn't awful. It's at least a balanced skill set. It's just you got to build him up. So he would have been a number 4 kind of guy for us, which I think would have been fine with either him or the guy that we ended up selecting. So I'm not upset about that one. They did find a tight end here in the 5th. 71 hidden dev. This is what I like to do here. I like to find my hidden dev tight ends late. He's not the fastest, but he is at least semi-balanced. Number 16, interesting though for a more primary blocking tight end. And then for the overall best player from this class, you have Chad Hanna, the 2 interior offensive linemen I would have drafted if linebacker wasn't such a need, were the top 2 players from this class. Chad Hanna to the Packers, 83 overall hidden dev. And he's also a mauler. It would have been fun to find both of them, or either one of them. Stick him down the middle and let Cameron Scattaboo run by just right behind him. Fastest player, because I'm sure people are going to wonder, 99, 299s. Elton McCrary and Cameron Toon. Or Tooney? I think it's Tooney. Strongest player, 99 overall, Chauncey Jennings, DT, went to the Texans. That's the guy that they... Who did the Panthers end up selecting? Even though we tried to make a trade and should have been able to make the trade. They went with Corliss Hilliard. 72 overall, though hidden dev. Sam linebacker, who has some upside to run stopping. Coverage is horrendous. I think they would have been much more happier if they got Dexter Lawrence. We got Alex Augustine and Chavez. But that is going to be our off season here. There are still changes to come. Again, I will definitely ask hidden dev too. Yeah, a lot of hidden devs that we did not get. But yeah, I think we will do another live stream. I think the weekend's pretty open for me this weekend, so I think maybe Saturday or Sunday. We'll leave it in a post, and I'll make sure to post that poll as well after we get done here. We will do a preseason, and we will try to get some trades done. Take a look at some of these rosters. It'll be chill. And then Tuesday, we will start the next season, which I will also be asking during that season if you all want this season this series to continue past season 3. We're trying to add a little bit more difficulty, trading away some players, shaking up this roster. So we're going to see how that does. I'm hoping that the NFC East is going to be more competitive this year. Again, we won the NFC North, NFC East. We won the Super Bowl, but we had 9 games this last year that were 1 score. Very easily could have flipped. These changes might make things a little bit more dramatic here. So If you have not already, make sure you are subscribed. You've ticked that bell notification button so you're notified when everything happens here on this channel, and you leave a like. If you have the option, you could hype things up as well. I don't know if that's still around or not. I haven't seen it on mine, so it is what it is. But that will be where we leave it here. Having a little something extra for us this weekend. Back on Tuesday, getting towards the end of the regular season for Kent State. They have 2 games left in the regular season. And tomorrow, they could clinch a shot at the Big 12 title game. So make sure you are there. But that will be it for us here. Appreciate you all watching. Appreciate all the comments coming in. Gaming Monster, appreciate you being here and very much being involved here in this offseason. We will see you all tomorrow and then also this weekend. Bye.